Chapter 3677. Campus Bell, thank you. Chi Shao, what are you thanking me for? You provided the materials yourself. We just contributed a little. Being able to do something for you is the happiest thing for us. Margaret, Campus Bell, I also prepared a lot of charms for you. It is said that there are some restrictions in the world you are currently in. Once your power is restricted, it is better to use my charms. Harold, Campus Bell, I prepared a lot of offensive magic scrolls for you. They should be useful. Alan, Harold, we prepared the scrolls together. Fortunately, I have been watching the group. Otherwise, you would have taken all the credit. Do you want to take my credit and leave a deep impression on the Campus Bell? Harold, you are really a treacherous villain. Harold, Alan, you are slandering me. I haven't had time to say that you have a part in it. Alan, but I think if I didn't appear, you would never tell the Campus Bell how much effort I made. Harold, we have known each other for so many years. Don't you trust me at all? Alan, we used to be enemies. We almost killed each other. You are not worthy of my trust. Harold, Alan, I think the hatred between us has increased a little. Alan, I think so too. Harold, if it weren't for the Campus Bell, I would not let you go. I would have sent you to see the God of Creation. Alan, I want to send you to see the God of Creation every day. You should thank the Campus Bell for awakening my kindness. Tangua took the things and chatted with the people in the group for a while before leaving the group. She asked Chi Shao and Ziyun to prepare magic treasures and pills, not for the people in the mortal world, but for Ao Yan's friends. She went to the Dragon Palace and handed the storage ring with everything to Ao Yan. Ao Yan, here are 200,000 top-level offensive magic treasures and 200,000 defensive magic treasures. I think these should be enough. Where did you get so many? Ao Yan was shocked after seeing it. Especially the quality of these magic treasures. Even in the immortal world, only some of the immortals were qualified to have them. Ao Yan was shocked that Tangua could take out 200,000 items at once. So, what kind of person was she in her previous life? These things are enough. With a magic treasure of this quality and my own strength, even if I can't defeat those from the immortal world, it won't be a problem to fight them to a draw. Actually, the most important thing wasn't the motley crew from the immortal world. Defeating the Celestial Emperor was the key. Defeating the Celestial Emperor, snatching the brush to write the heavenly rules, changing the immortal world, and redressing injustice was their goal. I'll inform them to come and collect the items. The various races that had gone into hibernation had not all declined, but they had no choice but to appear especially miserable in order to avoid being feared by the Celestial Emperor again. After receiving Ao Yan's message, the divine beasts, immortal beasts, and beast clans all sent their subordinates to retrieve the artifacts. While Tangua was distributing the magic treasures, the Celestial Emperor was furious. The reason was that after a few days in the immortal realm, the group of immortals finally realized that something was wrong. The Count of Wind, the Rain Master, the God of Plagues, and the others were all gone. When he checked, he found that they were all dead. Not only had he died, but his soul had also entered the underworld. Furthermore, he had been sentenced to death by the infernal judge, and there was nothing he could do now. Vertex. Chapter 3678. They wanted to calculate what was going on, but found that things were not going well. The heavenly secrets were in chaos, and they had no way to calculate what had happened. They could only report such an important matter to the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor was much stronger than them, but the heavenly secrets were so chaotic that it took him a lot of effort to calculate. However, he finally figured out how these immortals died. When he learned the answer, the Celestial Emperor was furious. A mere emperor of Qingyan dared to kill immortals. How dare he? When the celestial emperor was angry, the immortals lowered their heads and dared not speak. They hadn't seen the celestial emperor so angry in a long time. Are the god of thunder and goddess of lightning here? Yes. A man and a woman walked out of the crowd. They looked a little fierce and hurried to answer respectfully. The celestial emperor showed some ruthlessness. God of thunder and goddess of lightning, the emperor of Qinyan has committed the crime of killing immortals. You two go and destroy the palace and the houses in the capital. Yes. Are the 36 heavenly generals here? Yes. Quickly go to the mortal world and see what evil is causing trouble. Take him down. The celestial emperor knew that a mere emperor of Qinyan couldn't kill an immortal. But that was all he could calculate. The heavenly secrets were so chaotic that he had to send people to check in person to find out who was causing trouble. Although he was furious, the celestial emperor was confident in his own strength, and no one could compare to him. He did not take this to heart at all. He thought that it was just some overconfident troublemakers and sent people to eliminate them. Perhaps it was because he had been ruling the immortal world for so many years that he was a little conceited and underestimated the seriousness of this matter. After sending the god of thunder and goddess of lightning to punish the emperor of Qinyan and the 36 heavenly generals to check on the situation, the celestial emperor thought that this matter was almost solved. As for the Count of Wind, Lord of Rain, and God of Plagues who had been killed, they were already sentenced in the underworld. He didn't mention it. It was basically impossible to go to the underworld to get them out. That old guy Yama was not easy to deal with. It was just a few useless ones. When this matter was over, he would pick a few more to take over their positions. When the god of thunder and the goddess of lightning appeared above the imperial palace of the Qinyan kingdom, they were caught by Tanghua. According to her guess, if the Sky Emperor knew that the immortal god had been killed by the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom, he would definitely send people down again, and the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom would be the first to bear the brunt. Based on what he heard from Ao Yen, the celestial emperor was definitely a petty person. Sure enough, someone from the top had arrived. She saw two ferocious-looking figures standing in the rolling clouds. They were dressed in plain clothes. The two of them each held a hammer in their hands, which should be the thunder god's hammer. Each of them held a mirror in their hands, which was most likely the Qian Yuan mirror. If anyone in the mortal realm offended the celestial emperor would order the two of them to use their magic treasures to punish the other party. These two could be considered the heavenly emperor's best dogs to order about. The two of them didn't hold back at all. They aimed at the emperor's sleeping quarters and struck with their magic weapons. One emitted thunder while the other emitted lightning. They were very conspicuous in the daytime. Only a loud sound could be heard in the vicinity of the imperial palace. The emperor of the Qinyan kingdom just happened to be returning to his sleeping quarters from the imperial garden when he saw this scene. Just as the palace was about to be affected, a light shield suddenly appeared there, completely protecting the palace. The lightning struck above, but it didn't cause the slightest damage to the palace. The Peak. Chapter 3679. The people standing next to the emperor of the Qinyan kingdom quickly knelt down and shouted, "God bless your majesty. God bless father, God bless our Qinyan kingdom." Fu Cheng, who was next to him, quickly said and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. The emperor saw this and relaxed from the initial nervousness to a smile. If the palace was struck by lightning in broad daylight, the people of the Qinyan kingdom would think that the emperor had committed a heinous crime. Such a big movement also alarmed Tang Shui in the crown prince's palace. Tang Shui quickly ran over and saw the light shield blocking the lightning. Who is causing trouble? At this time, a woman's voice shouted and attracted the attention of several people. Then, they saw a woman in white with a white veil, holding a sword and leaping into the clouds. The emperor saw this and said excitedly, "It's the fairy from last time." Then, the one who protected the bedroom earlier was this fairy, right? Fu Qing and Tang Shui looked at each other and then looked at the clouds. The woman was already hidden in the clouds. Now that it was daytime and she was wearing a white dress, they really couldn't see where she was. But they could still see the constantly rolling clouds. Not long after, they heard two painful groans. The clouds seemed to be pushed away and the woman in white appeared again. She was holding two strangely dressed people in her hands. Their appearances were not good, and they looked especially like monsters. Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom, it was these two demons who wanted to destroy your palace. It seems that they are unrepentant and want to destroy the Qinyan Kingdom. Hearing Tang Guo's words, the Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom was particularly angry. He had always been cautious and conscientious as an emperor. Every day, he would wake up early and sleep late to govern the country seriously. Now that many places were being rebuilt, he was worried sick. If it weren't for the pills given by the immortals, this body would have been worn out. He just didn't understand why these demons didn't like him and had to come to the Qinyan Kingdom to cause trouble. Who are you and why are you attacking my palace? We are the god of thunder and mother of lightning. Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom, you have made a big mistake and the Sky Emperor sent us to punish you. Everyone in the Qinyan Kingdom knows that the Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom is a good emperor. He personally donated money to rebuild the houses of the people. What did he do wrong? You are obviously demons who want to destroy the Qinyan Kingdom. I don't know what you want to achieve. Tang Guo continued. The Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom killed Wind, Master, and the God of Plagues. This is his crime. Oh, are you talking about those demons who caused trouble in the Qinyan Kingdom, causing natural disasters at will and persecuting the common people? It seems that I didn't wrongly accuse you. You are indeed sorcerers. However, you failed to persecute him and became resentful. You had to use such a high-sounding reason to find trouble with the Emperor of Qinyan Kingdom. Tang Guo sneered, fortunately, I expected that you demons must have an organization. I was a little worried about this place, so I came to take a look. Sure enough, you really want to cause trouble. You pretended to be immortals and wanted to destroy the Emperor's palace. Then you went out to spread rumors that the Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom had done immoral things and was not worthy of being an emperor. You caused unrest among the people, right? Demon, why don't you answer? Fu Qing believed Tang Guo's words. Now that he thought about it, wasn't that right? Others didn't understand his father, but how could he not? Not to mention other things, his father was indeed a good emperor who wholeheartedly served the country and the people. Hearing Tang Guo's analysis, the Emperor of the Qinyan Kingdom was relieved. Seeing that the God of Thunder and Mother of Lightning were still saying that he had made a mistake and this was the punishment given by the Sky Emperor, his face darkened and he directly ordered, "Come, drag these demons to the market and behead them. I want to personally supervise the execution." System, amazing. Chapter 3680. Fairy, I'm very worried about whether these demons will appear again, so I ask you to stay in the palace for the time being. The Emperor's face was full of sincerity. Is it convenient for you to be the state preceptor for the time being? Tang Guo gently nodded. Yes. Thank you, Fairy. When the Qinyan Kingdom is peaceful, it will be time for me to leave. System, host, congratulations, you have successfully won over the human emperor. The Sky Emperor did not dare to directly kill the Qinyan Emperor because of the human emperor's identity. Speaking of which, the immortal realm, the human realm, and the underworld all had their own rulers. The Sky Emperor of the immortal realm, the human emperor of the human realm, and the king of hell. Even if there was a great disparity in strength between these three people, in the eyes of the heavenly Tao, they were on equal footing. In other words, if the Sky Emperor dared to directly kill the human emperor, he would certainly be in trouble. This was also why the Sky Emperor could not control the King of Hell, and why the King of Hell did not intervene in other matters except for the underworld. With the development of the matter, Tang Guo guessed that the Sky Emperor should have taken advantage of the loopholes of the heavenly Tao or the rules. Otherwise, why would a dignified heavenly emperor scheme here and there, and not use absolute strength to resolve it? The news that the emperor's palace was almost destroyed by the demons and was stopped by the immortal quickly spread outside the palace. If the palace was really destroyed, some people would definitely spread rumors that the emperor was immoral, and adding fuel to the fire, it would affect the fate of the Qin Yan kingdom. Now that the palace was protected by Tang Guo, in the eyes of the people, she was a fairy who came to save them. The immortal was helping the emperor, and even became the state preceptor of the Qin Yan kingdom. It could be seen that the emperor of the Qin Yan kingdom was recognized by the immortal and deserved the title. When this rumor spread, it was respected by the people. The main thing was that the emperor was indeed a practical person, and people were sincerely convinced. Many people came to the market to see the emperor personally supervise the execution of the demons. Seeing that it was about to start, Tang Shui could not help but interrupt. "Father, are we really going to kill them like this? What if what they said is true?" Tang Guo could not help but glance at Tang Shui. She understood that the reason why she stopped it was mostly because of the soul connection. After all, Tang Shui was the daughter of the snow goddess. She should be acquainted with the god of thunder and goddess of lightning. When the emperor heard this, he was especially unhappy. In the past, he approved of Tang Shui and did not care about her status because Tang Shui was indeed intelligent. Sometimes, the things she did were much better than some of the noble ladies. She was also a good match for the crown prince. What were they talking about now? Those two demons had already come to strike his bedroom. If he had been in his bedroom at that time and the imperial tutor had not arrived in time, he would have been struck into ashes. Tang Shui felt the emperor's gaze and felt a little annoyed. She had said something wrong. She just felt that something was wrong and said those words on impulse. She just felt that the truth might not be what it appeared to be. However, the reality before her eyes was that these two people were indeed here to harm the emperor. She had no reason to refute. "If the crown prince consort is tired, you can return to your bedroom to rest." Fu Qing felt that the emperor was dissatisfied with Tang Shui's attitude. He did not understand why Tang Shui did not know her limits today. No matter what the reason was, those two demons were here to harm Imperial Father. Tang Shui's words were not pleasant to hear. It was easy for people to suspect that she had something to do with these two demons. Imperial Father was magnanimous and did not care about it. If it was someone else, they would have died long ago. Peak. Chapter 3681. Tang Shui wanted to say something, but she had already been helped back. Seeing Fu Chang's eyes, she could only give up. Today, she had indeed said something wrong. She was afraid that her father would take it to heart. She hoped that it would not affect Ah Qing. After the god of thunder and goddess of lightning were killed, the emperor felt relieved, as if he had escaped a great disaster. Tang Guo looked at the purple fade above the emperor's head, which was getting richer and richer, and smiled with satisfaction. This rich color was the fate of a prosperous emperor. When she first saw the emperor, she saw that there was only a faint purple aura above his head. He did not look like an emperor at all. Moreover, that purple aura was flowing in a certain direction. The Crown Prince Fu Qing was very interesting. At that time, the purple aura above his head was much richer than the emperor's. Today, when she saw the two standing together, Tang Guo saw that there was a faint connection between the two. There was a purple line in the middle. This line turned out to be the line of fate, but it looked thinner. However, the moment the god of thunder and goddess of lightning were killed, this line was completely broken. Fu Cheng was stealing the emperor's fate. Tanghua suddenly felt that things might not be so simple. The fate of the human emperor, even the crown prince, had no way to openly steal it. However, Fu Cheng succeeded, and stole a lot. When the matter was over, the emperor asked Tanghua to return to the palace. He had already arranged for people to clean up the place where she lived. There was a place for the state preceptor to live in the palace, but there was no state preceptor in the Qingyan kingdom. Now that she was here, she could move in after cleaning up the place. State preceptor, do you know how many of those demons are left? The emperor asked this because after killing the god of thunder and goddess of lightning, he always felt that there was something different about himself. Your Majesty, what did you feel? The emperor nodded. After killing those 2 demons, I had a feeling of escaping. Maybe you don't believe me, but last time when I killed those demons, I also had the same feeling. My intuition tells me that someone wants to harm me. Your Majesty, don't worry. Before the matter is settled, I will guard here and will not allow the demons to hurt your Majesty. The emperor showed a relaxed smile. Thank you, State Preceptor. Your Majesty is a good emperor who cares for the people of the country. Our sect has come out this time because we don't want the demons to harm the Qingyan kingdom. Protecting a wise emperor like your Majesty is the blessing of the people of the world. I will definitely not disappoint the imperial tutor. After being praised by Tanghua, the emperor suddenly became more ambitious. Ever since I took the elixir given by the state preceptor, my body's old illness has disappeared. Not only was the illness gone, but the white hair on his head was also slowly disappearing. Since there were so many people saying that he was a wise ruler, he already had a feeling in his heart that he must become an eternal emperor. Tanghua was happy to see the emperor so confident. After all, he was a Renhuang who was full of luck and devoted to doing practical things. If he was not tricked, he would definitely succeed. Moreover, the 36 heavens would come to the human world to investigate who was playing tricks. He had never thought that he would hear that the human emperor had personally executed 2 evil demons at the entrance of the market in just a few days after arriving in the human world. It was said that these 2 demons wanted to destroy the emperor's palace in broad daylight and were caught on the spot by the state preceptor. The 36 heavens felt that something was wrong. They looked at each other and felt that the 2 demons who were killed were the goddess of golden light. The goddess of golden light was also known as the god of thunder and goddess of lightning. The Peak. Chapter 3682. We'll split into 2 groups. One group will return to the heaven realm to report to the Sky Emperor. The other group will go to the Imperial Palace to take a look. I think there's something wrong with the Imperial Advisor. The 36 heavenly generals split into 2 groups and went to do their own things. The judge in the underworld looked at the god of thunder and mother of lightning in front of him. His originally stern and somewhat fierce face was about to wrinkle into a bun. A few years ago, he sentenced a few immortals. This time, 2 more came. They were the god of thunder and mother of lightning. This really made the judge's hands tremble. Name. Although they were the god of thunder and mother of lightning, their souls had already entered the underworld. This meant that they should be in charge. Lao Yan had already said many times that there was no need to pay attention to the Sky Emperor. The immortals had died and their souls had entered the underworld. They would definitely be in charge. When the god of thunder and mother of lightning heard the judge's question, they said somewhat angrily, "Judge Chui, don't you recognize us?" Name. The judge was displeased by the arrogance of the 2 of them. He thought to himself, the 2 of you are already dead and have entered the underworld. You should answer whatever I ask you. Yet you still act like you're high and mighty immortals. This really made him unhappy. Of course, he would treat everyone equally here. No matter which immortal you are, if you have the ability, the Sky Emperor will personally come down to get you. Lao Yen was right. Who cares? No matter how many came, he would sentence them accordingly. The God of Thunder and Mother of Lightning saw that the judge didn't buy it. His expression became more and more serious. They could only obediently report their names. After going through the process, the judge brought them to the Mirror of Rebirth. After seeing the two's experience, the judge's expression was cold. Of course, he would punish those who deserved it. He didn't care who ordered these two. He only saw that the two in the Mirror of Rebirth had done many bad things. Thus, the two were sentenced without waiting for the Sky Emperor to come and get them. On the other side, the 36 heavenly generals also came to the capital. They heard that this matter really had something to do with the imperial advisor in the imperial palace. They relied on the fact that they were immortals of the immortal realm and directly appeared in front of Tanguo. The first thing they said was, "You're just a Dao cultivator. You actually dared to interfere with the fate of the Qin Yen kingdom. You even caused the death of the God of Thunder and Mother of Lightning. Today, we will definitely capture you and hand you over to the Sky Emperor." In their opinion, if they could capture this so-called state preceptor, their trip to the mortal world would not be in vain. After they went up, they would be able to answer to the Celestial Emperor. Tanguo was too lazy to talk nonsense with them and directly jumped out of the palace. Of course, they could not fight in the palace. They had to find a place in the wilderness to avoid affecting innocent people. Most importantly, the Emperor had already killed two groups of immortals. The heavenly generals in front of him could not be killed by the Emperor anymore. Moreover, she did not intend to kill them. She allowed the Emperor to kill the God of Thunder, the Goddess of Lightning, the Count of Wind, the Lord of Rain, and the God of Plagues legitimately because these people often wandered the mortal world and did many immoral things for the Celestial Emperor, killing countless mortals. They deserved to be killed to serve as a warning to others and stabilize the human realm. As for the 36 generals in front of him, they basically had nothing to do with the matters of the mortal realm. What they did was basically to run errands for the Sky Emperor. They did not have any lives in their hands. After leading them to the wilderness, Tanguo had already set up an inescapable net there. She easily captured the 30 people in front of her. After that, Tanguo brought the imprisoned heavenly generals to the Dragon Palace at the bottom of the sea. These are the 36 heavenly generals. Ao Yen recognized them at a glance. There are only 30 of them. Where are the other 6? They must have come down to gather information and went back to report. Tanguo pointed at these heavenly generals and walked in front of Ao Yen. She asked with a smile, "Did any of them participate in hurting you?" Peek. Chapter 3683. Ao Yen shook his head. "They're just small fries. At most, they can help the Celestial Emperor gather information. Their strength is average and they can't hurt me. Those who can hurt me aren't weak, and their treasures are also very powerful." "Oh, I see." Tanguo smiled at the celestial generals. "It seems you don't have to die. Keep them here first. Ao Yen, keep an eye on them and don't let them escape. I've already notified the underwater water tribes. They'll come here on a certain day. Their fighting strength is generally weak, so I'll leave it to them to watch over them." "Alright, what about the others? Are they ready?" "The Celestial Emperor will probably keep sending people down after this. They'll probably split into 2 groups. One group will come to capture me, and the other will send a calamity as a warning. We'll have to find an opportunity to attack the world of immortals. I've already notified them. With the treasures you gave them, they'll have no problem dealing with calamities. Aoyen paused, then asked Tangua, when can I remove these chains? Wait a little longer. When the Celestial Emperor sends a calamity and does something stupid, I'll take you out to see the light and loosen your bones. Tangua recalled that she'd become a state preceptor and said to Aoyen, I'll be staying in the palace for a while to help the human emperor through this crisis. I discovered earlier that the human emperor's fortune had been stolen. Perhaps there's some scheme behind this. In any case, the human emperor must be protected. It was a good thing to have the human emperor gain merit. She'd be closer to her goal. It seemed that letting her big brother work for the human emperor was indeed a very good choice. The emperor of Qingyan is the human emperor. Tangua nodded. That's right. He's the human emperor and has the potential to unify the world. However, someone schemed against his fortune and caused him to age prematurely. Now that I've broken the trap and severed the thread that stole his fortune, his fate has returned to the right path. Scheming against the human emperor's fortune is something the celestial emperor would do. In the 3 realms, there are 3 emperors, 1 celestial emperor, 2 human emperors, and 3 kings of hell. The karmic luck of these 3 should have been about the same. They each controlled a realm and were on equal footing. No one was stronger than the other. However, the celestial Thearch's ambition is not small. He once wanted to unify the 3 realms, but he did not dare to kill the human emperor for fear of being killed by the heavenly Tao. Therefore, he thought of this method to steal the human emperor's providence. Even if the celestial emperor really did steal the human emperor's providence, he still wouldn't be able to unify the 3 realms. Tangua thought of the extremely intelligent Yama. The Yama king isn't someone to be trifled with. Aoyen nodded, yes, he can't afford to offend the king of hell. That said, he was afraid that Qin Yi would try to exploit King Yanluo's weakness. Now, there's no need to be afraid. Guo you're our only chance of survival. The heavenly secrets have been disrupted by your appearance. The current situation is that the celestial Thearch's rule has ended. Aoyen said excitedly. The flames in his eyes never left Tangua. When this is over, I will rebuild the real Dragon Palace. Guo will live in the Dragon Palace then. It's fine for me to live on the island. Why would I want to live in your Dragon Palace? Tangua asked jokingly. Aoyen said, the Dragon Palace will be bigger and more luxurious than the island. There will be more treasures. There will be prawn soldiers and crab generals for you to order around. I'm not from the water clan. It's not good for my body to soak in water all the time. It's easy to get rheumatism. System, as if I'll believe you. Rheumatism. You're teasing me again. Aoyen had heard of rheumatism. It was said that women in the human realm often washed clothes and vegetables. When they got older, rheumatism was inevitable. Once it rained, their entire body would hurt. Peak. Chapter 3684. Why don't I move the Dragon Palace to the island? I've already lost my flesh and blood, so it's not a problem for me to live on land. It's just that there are no shrimp soldiers and crab generals for you to order around. They can't live without water. Aoyen thought of an idea. Why don't I use the treasure to hire demonic beasts from the land and let them take care of the Dragon Palace? That's a good idea. Aoyen, why do you insist that I stay in your Dragon Palace? Aoyen was stumped by the question. Faced with Tangua's smiling face, if it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have a body of flesh and blood, his skin would have turned red as if it was on fire. Fortunately, without this body of flesh and blood, no one would be able to discover his predicament. If you don't give me a reason, I won't stay in your Dragon Palace. It's not like I don't have a house to live in. Why must I stay in your Dragon Palace? Take your time to think about it. I'm going back to the palace. This time, the immortal realm should be able to react faster. However, no matter how fast it would still take a few days. After all, a day in heaven was a year in the human world. In the blink of an eye, a long time had passed in the mortal world. The other 6 celestial generals went up to report the matter of the mortal realm to the celestial emperor. The celestial emperor was furious and sent some people down to capture Tangua. However, he did not know that the other 30 heavenly generals had already been wiped out by Tangua. After these celestial soldiers and celestial generals came down, the celestial emperor prepared to give the order to punish the mortals of the lower realm. The mistake was made by the human sovereign, so the ones to be punished were naturally the humans of the lower realm. However, the Count of Wind, Lord of Rain, Lord of Plagues, and the others had all been killed by the human emperor, and no new ones had been appointed for the time being. As for the rest, they were currently cultivating in seclusion. Furthermore, they were in death seclusion. He had reported this to him before, but there was no way to wake them up. Just as the celestial emperor was vexed, an immortal child came to reporting to the celestial emperor, the snow goddess has come out of seclusion. She has heard about the matters of the mortal world and is waiting outside the palace. Hearing that the snow goddess was here, the sky emperor perked up. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Let the snow goddess in." Goddess Shue was a beautiful woman with white hair and white clothes. When she walked, her steps were like lotuses blooming with each step. She had just come out of seclusion, so she did not know what had happened in the human world. She only heard that the celestial emperor seemed to be very angry because of the human sovereign. On the way, she heard the fairy child mention that the Count of Wind, the Rain Master, the God of Plagues, the God of Thunder and the Goddess of Lightning were all killed by the human emperor. She realized that something was wrong. "Greetings, Your Majesty. Snow Goddess, go and make a snowstorm in the Qinyan Kingdom. Now it's the beginning of May in the human realm. Make it snow in June and last for half a year. Go and make the arrangements. The timing is just right." Goddess Shue was shocked. This was the first time she had received such an order. It was still summer in the human world, wasn't it? Heaven Emperor, isn't it too long for the snow to last for half a year in June? With this snow, no matter how prosperous the Qinyan Kingdom was, it would fall into a disaster. Who knew how many people would die? Goddess Snow didn't care about the ordinary people in the mortal world. She cared about her daughter. This was her daughter's 10th reincarnation. After 10 lifetimes, he would be able to pass the trial and return to the celestial world. By then, he would have accumulated enough merit points to raise his grade. No matter how capable she would not be able to help her daughter and help the people of the Qinyan Kingdom get through this crisis and obtain the power of merit. Goddess Snow still wanted to say something, but the celestial arch had already given the order. She held the imperial edict in her hand. She could only do as she was told. All the immortals left, leaving only the celestial emperor and the empress. The empress saw that the celestial emperor was unhappy, so she asked him if there was anything he had not resolved. "Don't worry, Empress. You can go back first. I still have some things to do." Peak. Chapter 3685. Only the Sky Emperor was left in the Grand Hall of Divine Wind. His expression revealed a hint of ruthlessness. "Human Emperor, you've made a comeback. Who exactly ruined my plans? It seems that I have no choice but to take action." Then the Sky Emperor went to his own cultivation room and announced that he would be in seclusion for a few days. If there was anything, he could find the Empress. In the Sky Emperor's opinion, half a year of heavy snow was enough to put the Qinyan Kingdom in danger. He did not really make this heavy snow out of anger, but for his own reasons. The human emperor had turned the tables. Now that the people of the Qin Yan kingdom were living in peace, it would only strengthen the human emperor's luck, which was contrary to his purpose. He had to stop the human emperor from continuing to gain merit and strengthen his luck. The snow goddess received the sky emperor's decree and immediately set off for the human world. Just as the sky emperor said, she arrived at the human world just a little short of June. She waited on the clouds for some time until June arrived. Because she had to do things for the sky emperor, she did not dare to delay and did not go to see how her daughter was doing. She thought that she had already arranged everything properly and there should not be any mistakes. If anything happened to Tang Shui, and her life was in danger, as Tang Shui's mother who was connected to her soul, she would know immediately. For a long time, the identity of a high and mighty immortal made the snow goddess neglect many things and think that everything was within her calculations. But she did not know that sometimes, the person who was good at scheming might have another person who was even better at scheming against her. In June, the snow goddess planned to make heavy snow. Under the scorching sun, snow in June attracted many people's attention. This time, the people did not speculate about any grievances, but suspected whether there were demons causing trouble. Mainly because of the two things that Tang Gua had done before. After killing the two groups of demons, it really brought peace. At the same time, the people sent by the Sky Emperor to capture Tang Gua had also appeared. According to the previous plan, Tang Gua led them to the wilderness. After catching them all, she threw them to the bottom of the sea and let Ao Yen and the water tribe watch over them. The water tribe built a strong cage, which was more than enough to hold these immortals who had been restrained. When the members of the water tribe saw Tang Gua, their eyes were filled with respect and gratitude. Their patriarch had said that this powerful woman from the mortal realm was the chance for their water clan to turn the situation around. From now on, the Aqua clan no longer had to fear the celestial emperor. They could live happily in their own territory. Previously, the celestial Arch did not want the aquatic race and the demonic beasts to turn the tables around. Hence, he specially made a rule that although their cultivation speed was fast, they would have to face heavenly tribulations at certain times. This was also a test from the heavens. Originally, they were tested once every 1,000 years, but the celestial emperor changed it to once every 100 years. Almost all of the people who took the test didn't have a good ending. They were either beaten back to their original form or had their souls scattered. In order to survive, they could only choose to lay low, slow down their cultivation speed, and suppress their strength. Tang Gua asked Qi Shao to help refine a 200,000-strong defensive magic weapon for the water tribe. When their strength reached a certain level, wearing this defensive magic weapon, it would be easy for them to pass through the heavenly tribulation. When she defeated the celestial emperor and restored this heavenly rule to its original state, they would have more time to prepare for the test. Tang Gua came up from the bottom of the sea. Seeing the heavy snow outside, she knew that the celestial emperor had given another order. Peak. Chapter 3686. The one who caused this snow should be the snow goddess, Tang Shui's mother. For the first few days, Tang Gua did not ask. The emperor attached great importance to this matter and came to find Tang Gua to ask what was the reason for the snow in June. Tang Gua saw that there were many people around the emperor and some ministers who were concerned about this matter. She pretended to calculate and said loudly, "The demon is causing mischief." When they heard that the demon was causing mischief, everyone thought of the past and believed it. Can the imperial tutor take down the demon? Before the emperor could speak, a minister had already spoken. They usually did not worship gods, but the imperial tutor in front of them, they believed in her. If there was no imperial tutor, the current Qinyan kingdom would probably still be in various natural disasters. This imperial tutor never deliberately mystified. If she said who did it, she would directly catch the person and did not do anything mysterious. They believed her very much. Tangua nodded. A few days ago, I was in seclusion. When I came out, I saw that the demon was causing mischief. I was planning to catch the demon, but I did not expect your majesty to come. Qinyan Kingdom has the imperial tutor, the heavens bless our Qinyan Kingdom. The ministers praised, so they asked when Tangguo would catch the demon. If the snow continued, not only would it make people anxious, it would also affect the harvest of the crops. Your Majesty, everyone, please wait here for a moment. Tangguo casually took out a magic treasure and chanted a spell. The magic treasure was originally a small transparent cover, but when it flew into the air, it became incomparably huge. In an instant, the entire capital city was covered by it. I'll go and catch that demon. Seeing that Tangguo was so thoughtful, the emperor and the ministers were particularly moved. It was said that when immortals fight, mortals suffer. It was the first time they saw immortals fight and use magic weapons to protect mortals. At this time, Tangguo was in their hearts. Even if she was not an immortal in heaven, she was an immortal in their hearts. The snow goddess was actually standing in the clouds above the capital. The location was written in the imperial edict by the heavenly emperor. She had no doubts about this and planned to wait until the task was completed before going to the palace to see Tang Shuai. She had already sensed that Tang Shuai's aura was in the palace, and there was no danger at the moment. Goddess Shui was seriously enjoying the snow when she suddenly sensed danger and hurriedly dodged. Goddess Shui was able to dodge successfully because Tangguo had held back. She had actually discovered that these immortals from the immortal world weren't very good at combat. What they relied on the most was the magical treasures in their hands. Once they lost their treasures, their strength would be reduced by half, or even more. Capturing a mere snow goddess was a piece of cake for her. But this time, she wanted to put on a show for everyone. While she was fighting with the snow goddess above, the emperor and his ministers below could only see the rolling clouds and the faintly discernible silhouettes of two people after the clouds were dispersed. Tangguo was dressed in white and had a head of black hair. On the other hand, Goddess Shui was dressed in white and had white hair. She looked pretty, but when people saw her, they would think that Tangguo was an immortal and Goddess Shui was a demon. He is indeed a demon. Fortunately, the state preceptor is here. Look, there really is a demon causing trouble. The state preceptor has already found the other party. Did you see that? There is a transparent light shield outside our capital. According to the news from the palace, the state preceptor is afraid that the demon will hurt us ordinary people, so he used a magical treasure to cover the entire capital. Those snowflakes can't fall. Peek. Chapter 3687. Alright, with the state preceptor here, we'll definitely be able to take down the demon. Tangguo gave the citizens of the capital city and the people in the palace a lot of time to let them enjoy watching before taking Goddess Shui down. Goddess Shui was shot down on the spot and spat out blood. Tangguo took away her Dharma treasure and sealed her Dharma powers. She no longer had the ability to fight. With Goddess Shui captured, the snow in June stopped. Naturally, the rumors spread by people with ulterior motives were dispelled. Tangguo took back the Dharma treasure that was covering the capital city and landed in front of the emperor and the ministers in the palace with Goddess Shui. Your Majesty, this is the demon who brought down the snow in June. Who are you? You've already broken the heavenly rules. Do you know who I am? Goddess Shui was also panicking. She didn't understand at all. She had never heard of Tangguo before. If she was so powerful, why didn't the news spread to the celestial world? State preceptor. Right, she was the state preceptor that the celestial emperor mentioned who helped the human emperor in the mortal world. Goddess Shui didn't know what to do for a moment. I was sent by the celestial emperor. Did the Celestial Emperor also ask you to bring down this snow? Tanggua asked. Goddess Shui replied, of course. If not for the Celestial Emperor's orders, why would I come here to bring down snow? Then in the past 5 years, how many times have you brought down snow under the Celestial Emperor's orders? Tanggua asked again. Goddess Shui didn't realize that she had been tricked at all. She was angry and a little flustered, so she couldn't think of anything else. Goddess Shui quickly said, just this one. She had been in seclusion before, so all the Dharma treasures were in her hands. Therefore, it was impossible for someone to bring down snow on her behalf. However, as soon as she said this, Goddess Shui had a bad feeling. She looked up and saw that everyone was looking at her with a look of understanding. The emperor then said, in the past 5 years, it has snowed every winter. Except for this recent one, all of them have been in winter. In a winter, there are dozens of snowfalls in various places. Because of Goddess Shui's words, the emperor had no more doubts in his heart. If Goddess Shui was sent by the Celestial Emperor and said that there was only one snow in the past 5 years, then who was the one who brought down the snow before? Goddess Shui was clearly a demon. Your Majesty, how do we deal with this evildoer? The emperor was in a good mood today and did not immediately give the order to execute her. Instead, he said to Tanggua, State Preceptor, can she still use her mana? Don't worry, Your Majesty. I've already sealed her magic power and confiscated her magic treasure. She's no different from an ordinary person now. She won't be able to cause trouble. The emperor nodded. Thanks to the state preceptor, I've decided to lock her up for the time being and interrogate her to find out who the mastermind is. It's best to catch all of these demons in one fell swoop to avoid a disaster that would endanger the people of Qingyan Kingdom. The ministers praised His Majesty for his wisdom. Tanggua had no objections. She did not intend to kill Goddess Shui this time. As for the reason, of course, it was Tang Shui. If he killed Goddess Shui, Tang Shui's next move would be difficult. Tang Shui and Goddess Snow must have sensed something. At that time, Tang Shui would most likely come to save the Snow Goddess. As long as Tang Shui took this step, she would no longer have the chance to obtain human merit. In that case, she could be considered to have solved half of this situation. As for the other half, it was still with the emperor. No, it should be said that it was with the emperor and the crown prince Fu Qing. This conspiracy was not something that a mere Goddess Shui could have led. In that case, who was the mastermind behind the theft of the human emperor's fate? System, Celestial Emperor, host, am I right? Tongzi, you've become smarter. That's right, I'm guessing it's the Celestial Emperor. The only person who has the intention to scheme against the emperor's fate is him. Only he has the ability to do so. Peak. Chapter 3688. As for the King of Hell, he is a man of principles. He would not do such a thing. The Celestial Emperor was ambitious. That was why he stole the human emperor's fate. System, the Celestial Emperor is already the Celestial Emperor. Why would he steal the human emperor's fate? Greed can never be satisfied. You said that the Celestial Emperor was powerful, but he did not dare to attack the human emperor directly. This means that he is also within the rules. According to my preliminary guess, he stole the human emperor's fate because he wanted to break the rules and no longer be bound by the rules and heavenly Tao. Do you think this reason is enough? Absolutely. This also explained why the Celestial Emperor did these things. And I suspect that the Snow Goddess and her daughter are also part of the Celestial Emperor's plan. Let's wait for the final result. Seeing that Tanggua had no objections, the Emperor ordered the Snow Goddess to be locked up. At this time, Tang Shui and the Crown Prince Fu Qing arrived and saw the snow goddess being taken away in a sorry state. The snow goddess saw Tang Shui and the mother and daughter met briefly. At that moment, Tang Shui's heart skipped a beat, as if her blood was boiling. She could not help but turn back to look in the direction where the snow goddess was taken away. After dispersing, Tang Shui was very uneasy, especially when she found out that the white-haired woman was actually the evil person who caused the snow in June. She did not know why, but she could not watch the woman be executed by the emperor. However, the other party's snow in June had definitely angered the emperor. The snow in the past few days had made people anxious. The emperor would not let the other party go. If she went to plead for mercy, she would definitely arouse the emperor's disgust. Ever since the last time, she felt that the emperor was not very satisfied with her. The concubines in the harem made things difficult for her, and the emperor would not speak up for her. Even Fu Qing was given the cold shoulder. Tang Shui spent the next few days in torment. Her identity did not allow her to care about that matter. She forced herself not to think about it, but the white-haired woman's appearance seemed to be imprinted in her mind. There was even a voice telling her that if the woman was executed by the emperor, she would regret it for the rest of her life. This feeling made Tang Shui could not sleep well for a few nights. Shui, what's wrong with you recently? Look at you, you've become so haggard. Did the mother make things difficult for you? The mother of the crown prince was not the empress. It should be said that after the death of the emperor's empress, there was no new empress. It could also be said that Fu Cheng's mother was the most powerful woman in the harem. Fu Xing's mother was the most dissatisfied with Tang Shui. She thought that Tang Shui's status was not good enough for Fu Xing. Without a strong maternal family, she could not help Fu Xing. Of course, Tang Shui couldn't speak her mind, so she made up a random reason. I feel that Imperial Father has been a little cold to Ah Qing recently. Is it because I said something wrong last time that made Imperial Father unhappy? So that's what you're worried about. Imperial Father might be a little angry, but he probably didn't have the time to care about these things. Right now, Imperial Father is wholeheartedly trying to make the Qingyan kingdom better and better. It's not that he's cold towards me, but he feels that I, as the crown prince, am not good enough. Perhaps I've disappointed him. I see. I'm just a little worried. I'm relieved that it didn't affect Ah Qing. Alright, don't worry about that. I'll take care of Imperial Father. Fu Cheng was also a little helpless. It was not easy for him to defeat those brothers of his and obtain his father's recognition. He was conferred the title of Crown Prince. Vertex. Chapter 3689. But in recent years, he clearly felt that he was not capable enough to catch his father's attention. In particular, his father's health seemed to be better than before. It was said that it was because he had taken immortal elixirs. Fu Qing did feel a sense of crisis in his heart. But this emperor was very scheming. He was now the crown prince and no longer had the threat of his brothers. If he did something out of line, he would undoubtedly be courting death. He really wanted to make a contribution. But when he looked back, he realized that the ministers and his father had thought of what he thought. His father had already sent Tang Yao, the imperial envoy, to do what he could not do. Tang Yao was a lunatic. Basically, he would go wherever things were difficult. He was not afraid of offending people at all. He only listened to his father and did not form cliques. He was also prejudiced against Fu Qing. He was completely stubborn. Fu Qing was now thinking that after he ascended the throne, he would send Tang Yao far away. Out of sight, out of mind. But he soon realized that he did not know how many years it would take to realize this wish. With his father's current health, it would not be a problem for him to live for another few decades. System, wrong. The old emperor's lifespan has been extended by 100 years. He may still be alive after you die. Tang Shui did not dare to show her uneasiness anymore. She had tested Fu Cheng's attitude toward the white-haired woman. The other party believed that such a sinful demon should be killed after being interrogated. If she said that she did not want the white-haired woman to die, Fu Cheng would probably bear a grudge against her. Tang Shui originally didn't want to get involved in this matter and let things develop naturally. But when she heard that the emperor was going to execute the white-haired woman, she panicked. Tang Shui was already guessing if she had a special relationship with the white-haired woman. Otherwise, why would she be so flustered? In order not to let herself regret, she finally decided to secretly visit the white-haired woman. As for how Tang Shui managed to avoid such strict surveillance, it was because of the immortal she met in her dream. The immortal gave her some gadgets that could help her avoid the crowd and sneak into the prison without being discovered. It was easy for her to meet the immortal. It was not strange that Goddess Shui came to see her. After all, they were mother and daughter. There was a connection between their souls. Goddess Shui said, "I knew you would come." Goddess Snow was still rejoicing over the fact that she had given Tang Shui some trinkets before. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for her to escape death this time. She didn't expect the state preceptor to be so powerful that she couldn't even fight back. It was no wonder that Feng Bo and the others had fallen into the hands of the other party. After she escaped, she had to report the situation to the Celestial Emperor as soon as possible. She had to send powerful celestial soldiers and celestial generals to get rid of the other party to prevent future trouble. As for this human sovereign, it could be said that she had a grudge with him. When she returned, she would definitely talk to the Heavenly Emperor and teach him a lesson. At that time, she would be willing to snow for 3 to 10 years, let alone half a year. Ever since I saw you that day, I've been feeling uneasy. I've been forcing myself not to see you, but when I heard that you were going to be executed by Imperial Father, I couldn't sit still anymore. You were the one who made the snow fall in June and made everyone panic, but I just don't want you to die. Tang Shui spoke her mind. What exactly is our relationship? Goddess Snow looked at Tang Shui and felt very gratified. Vertex. Chapter 3690. At this point, she decided to tell Tang Shui the truth. If she didn't escape today, she would really be executed the next day and end up like Count of the Wind. She would never have the chance to reunite with her daughter again. I'm the snow goddess of the immortal world, and you're supposed to be my daughter. You're just here to train. Tang Shui widened her eyes in disbelief. The snow goddess continued, do you still remember that you used to dream of an immortal? That person was actually me. In the dream, I even gave you many trinkets and helped you through many hardships. Tang Shui believed her. If that was the case, then it made sense that she couldn't bear to see her executed. Since you're the snow goddess, why did it snow in June? And those few years ago, there was rain, wind, thunder, and lightning. Were they demons? Since you asked this question, you should have guessed it, right? They weren't demons, but Count of the Wind, Master of the Rain, God of Thunder and Goddess of Lightning. They were all immortals of the immortal world. As for why it snowed in June, of course I was following the Celestial Emperor's orders. Tang Shui's worldview was turned upside down. She grabbed the snow goddess's sleeve and continued asking, then what about the Grand Tutor? She's just a demon. Not only did she cause the deaths of several immortals, but she also went against the Celestial Emperor and violated the heavenly rules. When the Celestial Emperor finds out, he won't let her off and will punish her severely. You don't believe me? Tang Shui shook her head. I believe in our relationship, and I also believe that those who were executed were immortals. Because when I saw their corpses, I felt very sad. But the Grand Tutor, what she did was indeed for the country and the people. It didn't seem to benefit her at all. The snow goddess was about to break down. How could it not benefit her? She saved the world and reaped a lot of merit. Also, those people are innocent. The snow goddess said seriously, this is fate. They're destined to face such a calamity. What we need to do is to let it happen naturally. The Grand Tutor, that demon, is going against the heavens and will be punished by the heavens. Then I'll let you out. No matter what, Tang Shui wouldn't watch the snow goddess die. Putting aside whether or not the other party was her mother, the other party had helped her a lot in her dream. She couldn't just watch the other party die. Tang Shui could only bring Goddess Shui out of the prison, but she couldn't remove the restriction on her. This restriction was placed by Tang Gui, and there were not many people who could break it. Tang Gui's consciousness had been following the two of them. At this time, she could not leave the palace. Tang Shui could only disguise herself as the snow goddess and hide her in the palace. Tang Gui didn't care about it, nor did she intend to stop Tang Shui. No one could remove the seal on Goddess Shui's body. Forcefully removing it would only cost Goddess Shui's life. Therefore, the other party was just a person who was nothing to worry about. At noon the next day, the emperor asked Fu Qing to supervise the execution of Goddess Shui. Fu Qing even asked Tang Shui if she was going, but Tang Shui refused. I don't like to see bloody scenes. Fu Qing did not force her and left. After Fu Qing left, Tang Shui brought the disguised snow goddess out of the palace. It went exceptionally smoothly. There was no trace of Goddess Shui in the prison. Fu Qing was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. He quickly went to find the emperor and asked what to do. Imperial Father, could it be that the demon escaped? Do you want the Grand Tutor to deal with this matter? The Peak. Chapter 3691. The emperor really wanted to slap Fu Chang's head. The state preceptor had said before that the evil man had been restrained and could not escape. He had not been able to escape for several days. If he had really broken free, how could he have left so quietly? Guards, lock down the palace and the capital. Don't let anyone out. The emperor had already heard the news before Fu Qing and sent people to check the prison. The locks in the prison were not broken and there were no signs of fighting. So it was very likely that someone had used a key to open the lock and not the evil man escaping on his own. Who has left the palace today? The emperor asked someone to check. Not long after, he got a list of all the people who had left the palace. Finally, his eyes locked onto Tang Shui's name. The crown princess has also gone out. Did she say what she was going to do? The last sentence was directed at Fu Qing. Fu Qing was a little confused. I don't know. Isn't she your crown princess? You didn't know that she had left the palace. The emperor suddenly felt that Fu Qing was really not capable enough. He was the crown prince that he had carefully selected back then. Why was he different from before? System, think about it. You've already taken back all the luck. The crown prince has lost so much luck. Of course, the impact will be great. Someone go and find the crown princess. The emperor paused, then said, also, interrogate all the other people who have left the palace. Actually, he did not believe that Tang Shui had anything to do with this matter. He asked Fu Qing mainly because he was very disappointed in Fu Chang's ability recently and wanted to make things difficult for him. In the end, he was still very disappointed. How could such a mediocre crown prince protect the country that he had painstakingly built? By then, it would only be a few decades before the country would be lost. Fu Qing felt the emperor's disappointment. There was bitterness in his heart that he could not express, and he was vaguely unconvinced. In the past, no matter what he did, his father was very satisfied. Fu Qing coming to find Tang Guo was not within Tang Guo's expectations. State Preceptor, may I ask you to calculate where the evil man has escaped to? Tang Guo agreed. Of course, she could. She pretended to calculate, but in fact, Tang Shui and Fu Qing had always been in her sight. The emperor immediately locked down the capital city. Tang Shui had no way of sending the snow goddess, who had no mana left, away. She could only stay in the capital city. Tang Shui planned to let goddess Shui stay in her residence in the capital first. Once the commotion died down, she would arrange for her to leave. Tang Guo told Fu Qing the location, and Fu Qing hurriedly brought the guards to catch her. He believed that as long as he could capture the demon, his father would have a whole new level of respect for him. But he didn't expect that the one who let the demon go was actually Tang Shui. Shui, why did you let her go? Do you know how angry Imperial Father is right now? She's a monster. Have you forgotten about June's flying snow? You actually let him go. Fu Qing could not believe such an outcome. He had never suspected that Tang Shui was behind this. And this house, he didn't know it belonged to Tang Shui. Just how many things had Shui done behind his back? Ah, Qing, listen to my explanation. I had no choice but to do this. I really couldn't watch her die. Tang Shui explained. Fu Qing did not listen at all and insisted on capturing her. Tang Shui could not possibly say that she was a fairy from heaven and that goddess Shui was her mother. No one would believe this kind of story if it was told. Peak. Chapter 3692. In short, there was a misunderstanding between the two. Fu Qing even fought with Tang Shui and accidentally hurt Tang Shui. In a moment of desperation, goddess Shui had no choice but to tell the truth. Because goddess Shui had also entered Fu Qing's dream, Fu Qing believed her after some explanation. Then, Fu Qing helped the two of them to hide goddess Shui's whereabouts. Of course, the emperor knew that Fu Qing had left the palace. He thought that Fu Qing would cause a commotion and capture him. Unexpectedly, Fu Qing only brought Tang Shui back, and the demon was still missing. Fu Qing even defended Tang Shui, saying where she went. In addition, Fu Qing and Tang Shui began to think of a way to make the emperor believe that goddess Shui was an immortal in heaven, and the state preceptor in the palace was actually a demon. Seeing that things were developing in the direction she wanted, Tang Guo was very happy. Very good, now that the two of them have been suspected by the human emperor, he will not protect them. Without the protection of the human emperor, their luck will only become weaker and weaker, and there is nothing to worry about. Now, let's see when the mastermind behind this will appear. At the same time, the heavenly realm was also constantly sending people to capture Tang Guo. Batch after batch of people were sent down, but they did not catch the culprit. Instead, the people sent down were all wiped out by Tang Guo. Now, they were locked in a cage in the sea, watched by the members of the Water Clan. Because the celestial emperor was in seclusion, the immortals in heaven heard that something had happened to goddess Shui, and the people they sent down did not return, so they could only discuss it with the empress. The empress had no choice but to continue sending people down to check what was going on, but they still did not return. On this day, Tang Guo felt that someone had come to her palace. She opened her eyes and saw Fu Qing. The first time she saw Fu Qing, she knew that this Fu Qing was not the same Fu Qing from before. Which demon dares to interfere in the affairs of the mortal world? Tanguo thought that the other party might use some tricks, but she did not expect that he would start a fight. Did he really think that he could deal with her with Fu Xing's physical body? This time, she did not run to a sparsely populated place, but fought in the palace. When she was fighting, she suddenly felt that the surrounding spiritual energy seemed to be sealed by someone. Looking at Fu Xing again, she understood. Who else could be able to control the rules of spiritual energy? Sky Emperor. I didn't think that a dignified celestial emperor would lower himself to come here. It is my honor. The celestial emperor, who was possessing Fu Cheng's body, didn't care at all that Tanguo had seen through his identity. In his opinion, anyone who cultivated the spirit qi of this world, no matter how strong they were, would not be a match for him. He had already locked down all of the spiritual energy in his surroundings. He wouldn't allow the other party to use it. The person in front of him was just a trapped beast. Then, the two of them fought fiercely. At first, Tanguo pretended to be affected by the spiritual power and seemed to be losing ground. Seeing this, the Sky Emperor only snorted coldly, not caring at all. The failure of the human emperor's plan was all because of this demon. As long as this demon was killed, there would be a chance to scheme against the human emperor's providence in the future. However, it was a waste of the soul of his 10 lifetimes that he had cultivated with great difficulty. Yes, Fu Cheng's soul was a part of the heavenly emperor. His purpose was to stay in the mortal world and steal the human emperor's providence. He was just 1 lifetime away from being able to completely steal the human emperor's providence. He didn't expect that such a person would appear halfway and ruin his plans, causing all his efforts to be in vain. Apex. Chapter 3693. The news of the fight between Tanguo and Fu Xing soon reached the ears of the emperor. The emperor hurried over with his men and saw that Fu Xing seemed to be possessed. He even used the means of an immortal to fight with Tanguo. The emperor's first thought was whether Fu Xing was possessed by some demon. He even suspected that the person who possessed Fu Xing was the bad guy who instigated those demons to cause trouble in Qinyan Kingdom. State Preceptor. The emperor shouted with some worry. Only the state preceptor could deal with such a demon. Therefore, the emperor was very worried. If the state preceptor was hurt by the demon, who could protect Qinyan Kingdom? Your Majesty, you all retreat first. The others, protect your Majesty. Tanguo shouted and the guards quickly protected the emperor in the center. Although the emperor was worried, there was no fear on his face. After calming down, he remembered that Tanguo had a master and other senior and junior sisters. He quickly called for people to go out and find her. He did not run away. Even the state preceptor could not deal with this demon. He was just a mortal. No matter where he ran, it would be the same. It was better to wait here and calm the people first. Looking at the state preceptor, it seemed that he could fight the demon to a draw. The emperor was slightly relieved. Tanguo saw the emperor's reaction and could not help but praise him in her heart. He was indeed the human emperor. Since ancient times, the human emperor had never been a coward. Many people mistakenly thought that the human emperor was the son of heaven. In fact, the human emperor must be the son of heaven, but the son of heaven was not necessarily the human emperor. There was a saying, whenever the human emperor appeared, the world was united and the country was prosperous. Even if the soul of the Sky Emperor possessed Fu Cheng's body, he could not do anything to Tanguo. The reason why Tanguo delayed for so long was to find an opportunity to attack the other party. Since the Sky Emperor came, there was no need for him to leave. The Sky Emperor thought that he had locked the spiritual power and wanted to exhaust Tanguo to death. He did not expect that Tang Guo would secretly set up the soul lock. When the Sky Emperor found out that something was wrong, it was already too late. Tang Guo reached out and pulled out a trapped soul from Fu Cheng's head. Of course, after fighting for so long, the palace she lived in was already in ruins. The emperor was not distressed at all. He only knew that the imperial advisor had won and the Qingyan kingdom would not suffer because of this. State Preceptor, are you all right? Tang Guo looked at the soul in the bottle. Actually, there was nothing wrong with it, but she had to give face and pretend that she had a hard time fighting just now. Thus, she forced her face to turn pale. I'm just a little tired. Quick, the imperial physician, come and take a look. Tang Guo did not refuse and quickly moved into the palace that the emperor had arranged for her. Imperial tutor, what should we do with this evildoer? The emperor asked worriedly. The crown prince is already unconscious and has yet to wake up. I have my ways to deal with the demon's soul. There's no time to lose. I plan to deal with the demon's soul immediately. Tang Guo wasn't sure if she had really captured all of the Celestial Emperor's soul. After all, he was the Celestial Emperor. It was normal for him to separate a part or two of his soul. Now she had to go find Ao Yen immediately and let him personally crush the Celestial Emperor's soul. It was better to take revenge first and vent her anger. The emperor wanted to send someone to escort her, but Tang Guo shook her head and said there was no need. Then she stepped on the flying sword and left. What is this? Ao Yen looked at a small bottle in confusion. He leaned forward and sniffed it. The peak. Chapter 3694. There's a soul's aura, it seems familiar. Wait, the Celestial Emperor. Ao Yan's eyes burned with fire, as if he wanted to burn down a mountain. He stared at the bottle in disbelief. The Celestial Emperor's soul. Guo, how did you trap the Celestial Emperor's soul? This was too inconceivable for them. He knew that even if he trapped the Celestial Emperor's soul, he might not be able to truly kill him. Experts all had their own means of escape. However, the aura leaking out of the bottle was very dense. Guo had bound the Celestial Emperor's main soul. Even if the Celestial Emperor didn't die, he would shed a layer of skin. My guess was right, the Celestial Emperor wanted to steal the human emperor's fortune. Perhaps he felt that I was an obstacle, so he possessed Fu Cheng's body and planned to kill me. If not for the fact that my cultivation method focused on the power of the stars, he might have succeeded. If it were anyone else, no matter how strong they would be greatly affected as long as they touched the spirit chi of this world. As the Celestial Emperor thought, he would definitely be exhausted to death. The Celestial Emperor dared to do this because he had something to rely on. However, she'd already calculated that she wouldn't expose this weakness after transmigrating to so many worlds. Under the Celestial Emperor's rule, she'd always choose to cultivate the unrestricted power of the stars. She'd won so easily only because the Celestial Emperor had underestimated her. Ao Yen, take revenge. If not for the fact that I wanted you to do it personally, I would have crushed his soul. Thank you, Guo. You're welcome. Ao Yan's dragon claws grabbed the bottle containing the Celestial Emperor's soul. Guo, help me open the chains. The Celestial Emperor is severely injured, this is the best time to attack the world of immortals. Alright. After Tang Guo helped Ao Yen remove the restrictions on the chains, Ao Yen struggled slightly and the chains all shattered. After that, Ao Yan's entire skeleton shook a little and swam in the water happily. He cleaned every part of the skeleton. Finally, he came to Tang Guo. Guo, come on up. I've summoned them all. The time to attack the world of immortals has come. Tanguo was not polite and was about to jump onto Ao Yan's back when Ao Yan said, "Your bones are a little hard. I'll find you a soft cushion." Ao Yan threw a soft cushion to Tanguo. Tanguo took it and placed it on the bone behind the dragon's neck. Then, she sat on it. Ao Yan let her grab him and rushed out of the sea. Ao Yan took Tanguo and flew through the clouds. In a short period of time, they went to many places and woke up his old friends of the dragon race. At the same time, the few big shots of the underworld, the Peacock Emperor, and the others all received Ao Yan's message. They rushed out and arrived beside Ao Yan in the blink of an eye. "Uncle Kong, do you know what this is?" Ao Yanlong held up a small bottle in his claw. Under the confused gaze of the Peacock Emperor and the others, he said in an especially proud tone, "This is the main soul of the Celestial Emperor. He underestimated Guo and was captured by Guo. Now it is in my hands. If I didn't want you to see it, I would have crushed him. Ao Yan, he is still the Celestial Emperor. If you crush him, you will be punished by the heavens," the Peacock Emperor said with some concern. "Why don't we suppress him? The Celestial Emperor who has lost his main soul is no longer our match." Ao Yan shook his head. "No, I want him to pay with his life. I want him to sacrifice all the members of the dragon race who have died." Peak. Chapter 3695. In the end, he was the only one from the Dragon Clan who survived. If it weren't for the Dragon Clan seniors who sacrificed their souls, they wouldn't have been able to keep him alive. Even so, the Sky Emperor still ordered people to cut off his flesh and blood, cutting off all the Dragon Clan's bloodline. This hatred was absolutely irreconcilable. It wasn't something that could be resolved just by suppressing him. Hearing Ao Yan's words, the Peacock Emperor stopped persuading him. "Then count me in. My Peacock clan was also harmed badly by the Sky Emperor. When those old fellows come, we'll crush him together. Senior, let Ao Yan do it. He has already jumped out of the three realms and isn't bound by the heavenly Tao. He can kill the Sky Emperor. Even if the heavenly Tao wanted to find trouble, wouldn't she still be there?" She had schemed so much, but the heavenly Tao didn't say anything. This meant that the heavenly Tao didn't like the Sky Emperor and wanted her to help get rid of him. After everyone familiar with Ao Yan had gathered, Ao Yan crushed the Sky Emperor's soul in front of everyone at the place where the Dragon Clan's clansmen had died. There was a scream between heaven and earth, but it was very pleasant to the ears. After crushing the Sky Emperor's soul, everyone waited, afraid that the heavenly Tao would send down a true heavenly punishment. They felt too good about Ao Yan crushing the Sky Emperor's soul. When the heavenly punishment came, they naturally couldn't ignore Ao Yan and decided to face it together. They didn't expect that after waiting for half a day, there would be no heavenly punishment. The Sky Emperor stole the human emperor's luck. The heavenly Tao probably doesn't like him. Tanguo said, "Everyone, don't worry. The heavenly Tao is reasonable, smart, and has its own plans. It won't be unable to distinguish right from wrong." A day later, the Peacock Emperor saw that the heavenly punishment still hadn't come. He couldn't help but agree with Tanguo's words. That damn Sky Emperor must have done too many immoral things. The heavenly Tao doesn't care about him anymore. He deserves it. Otherwise, the heavenly Tao might have fallen asleep. I even suspect that the heavenly Tao's eyes are blind. It would be good if it was really blind at this time. On the 18th level of the underworld, a certain old man heard this and widened his eyes. Even his beard was blown up. This old man is clearly a reasonable person. That girl's words are more pleasant to listen to. Why doesn't that little peacock just die? I really want to pluck all the feathers off his body. Before the heavenly punishment came, Tangguo began to discuss with those who had been persecuted by the Celestial Emperor how to fight their way to the Celestial World. Immortal World, Celestial Emperor's seclusion room. The Celestial Darch abruptly opened his eyes and threw up a mouthful of blood. His face instantly turned deathly pale, and he looked as if he had aged a few years. Damn it! This emperor will never let you off. When the Heavenly Emperor came out, the Empress hurriedly told him what had happened recently. Seeing how weak the Heavenly Emperor was, the Empress panicked. Go and wake up those who are in seclusion, the Celestial Emperor ordered. Also, call the Fire God over. When the Fire God saw the Sky Emperor, he only received one order, which was to send heavenly fire to the mortal world, especially the capital of the Qinyan Kingdom. The Fire God didn't dare to object and immediately went to send the heavenly fire. But just as the heavenly fire floated to the clouds, it was slapped back by the Peacock Emperor. All of it landed on the Fire God's body. The heavenly fire actually burned the Fire God. The Peacock Emperor couldn't help but laugh. Fire God, are you worthy? You can't even withstand the fire and you call yourself the Fire God. Come, this Emperor will show you what a real Fire God is. With that said, the Peacock Emperor's entire body emitted raging flames. In an instant, the surrounding clouds were incinerated. Uncle Peacock, it's the mortal world below. Don't affect the mortals or Guo will be angry. If you want to show off your talent, you can go to the Celestial World Gate and burn it. I won't say anything. Peek. Chapter 3696. I know, I was just a little excited. I wanted to show this fake Fire God what a real Fire God is. The Fire God actually let himself fall for it. What a joke. The Celestial Emperor sure knows how to play. The Peacock Emperor mocked, the three realms are connected, but they don't interfere with each other. The Celestial Emperor wanted to steal the human emperor's fate and control the human realm. What a pity, he failed. With that, the Peacock Emperor spat out a mouthful of fire onto the Fire God, burning him until he screamed. The Peacock Emperor stopped when the Fire God was rolling on the ground and his clothes were charred. He walked in front of Fire God and waved at him. A magic treasure in Fire God's hand fell into the Peacock Emperor's hand. He stared at the magic treasure and a small flame emerged from it. It landed in his palm and floated into his heart. He reminisced, this is this emperor's wife's natal flame. Are you worthy of having it? Finally, I'll leave you with a phrase, play with fire and burn yourself. The Peacock Emperor walked past the Fire God and a small flame landed on his body. He didn't even have time to scream before he turned into ashes. Immortal Realm, I'm here to collect my debt. Old Fox, Brother Tiger, Brother Snake, let's go, it's time for us to collect our debts. Knowing that Tanggua and Ao Yen weren't bound by the Celestial Emperor, they decided to let Tanggua and Ao Yen deal with the Celestial Emperor. In a short time, the races that had been persecuted by the Celestial Emperor surrounded the Immortal Realm with defensive and offensive treasures. Those who have no enmity with us, surrender and we won't kill you. As for those who had a grudge, they were sorry, but they were here for revenge. If they didn't kill them, they would be letting down the people who had been persecuted to death. Celestial Emperor, they're here. The Empress panicked, what should we do? The Celestial Emperor's heart sank. He'd sensed that the chains binding the evil dragon had been broken. To him, this was simply adding insult to injury. He thought of something and pushed the Empress away, fleeing in a certain direction. He thought he could escape, but an old man appeared at the critical moment. You! The Celestial Emperor's expression changed, why are you here? You went back on your word. The old man smiled and shook his head. You're the only one who can scheme against me. This old man didn't go back on his words. It's just that you've lost your momentum, so this old man is here to take back some things. The old man had stayed in the underworld all this time because he had been schemed against by the Celestial Emperor. Speaking of which, it was a joke. He, the dignified heavenly Tao, had actually been schemed against. As expected, the heavenly Tao should be a proper heavenly Tao. It could not be too curious and participate in the hearts of others. The Sky Emperor had schemed against him. It could be considered a punishment for not abiding by his own rules as the heavenly Tao. The old man waved his hand at Sky Sovereign. Sky Sovereign screamed and rushed towards the void. At that moment, a trace of mysterious power returned to the old man's body. The moment the power returned to the old man's body dissipated like smoke. The old man seemed to have disappeared, but the Celestial Emperor knew that the old man had not disappeared. The old man was the way of the heavens. Now, he had merely returned to his original form. He had once again become the high and mighty way of the heavens that no one could capture. Similarly, no one could scheme against him anymore. When the Celestial Emperor saw this, he glared at the old man's original position with hatred. He did not stop and continued to rush towards the void. All of this would not end just like this. The peak. Chapter 3697. Just as the old man had said, his influence was gone. For the sake of jumping out of the 3 dimensions and not being restrained by the Heaven Tao, he'd made many enemies. The old man had already retracted his power of rules. The old heavenly rule had been nullified, and he could no longer control the heavenly rule brush. If he did not leave now, his enemies would skin him alive. When he escaped to the void and lay low for a while, he would come back for revenge. He would avenge this. He would remember all those who had ruined his life here. But before the Sky Emperor could do so, a dragon head made of bone roared, and a dragon claw slammed into the Sky Emperor. The Sky Emperor sensed danger, but Ao Yan's strength was already not something he could deal with. The dragon tribe was born with great fighting power, and now with the cultivation technique Tanghua had imparted to him, he cultivated astral power, which was above spiritual qi and immortal qi. The heavenly Tao had retracted that sliver of power of rules from the Sky Emperor, and he was now just an ordinary, powerful cultivator. This was the duel between Ao Yan and the Sky Emperor. Tanghua leaped to one side and waited, not interfering. One man and one bone dragon were constantly stirring up the clouds. Because of their battle of magical powers, the sky was emitting intense rumbling sounds. The black clouds churned violently, as though there were terrifying beasts within. Ao Yan and the Sky Emperor had fought for 3 days, but one was fleeing, the other chasing. The Sky Emperor had been trying to buy time, and escape while Ao Yan was not paying attention. Outside the void was dangerous, but for him, his chances of survival had greatly increased. What's going on? The Celestial Arch suddenly realized that the wisp of soul he had split out was being obstructed by something as it tried to slip out of the void. At this time, Tanghua had already caught the sliver of soul that the Sky Emperor had sent out. She smiled at the Sky Emperor. Sky Emperor, it's not good to use such an old trick again. Tanghua did not stand on ceremony. She squeezed hard, and the Sky Emperor's soul was crushed. The Sky Emperor felt a sharp pain in his soul. At this time, Ao Yan's dragon breath came down, and the Sky Emperor's head swam. Ao Yan's dragon claw had already grabbed his body. Guer, I'll go settle some personal matters first. Ao Yan grabbed the Celestial Emperor's body. He didn't plan to do anything in front of Tanghua. He felt that some of the scenes were unsightly, so it was better to take the celestial arch out of the void and clean him up. Alright, I'll head to the immortal plane to see how the others are doing. The two of them came to deal with the Heavenly Emperor while the rest went to attack the other immortals in the immortal world. An eye for an eye, an eye for an eye. As long as an unrelated person surrendered, they would give them a way out. This was what Tangua had agreed with them at the beginning. These races only wanted fairness and justice. Their personalities were actually much more straightforward than humans, and most of them were more straightforward. If it was one, it was one. If it was two, it was two. Tangua returned to the celestial world. Because the celestial emperor's power was gone, the celestial world collapsed on its own. The matter had been resolved. The Peacock Emperor had led his men to conquer the immortal realm. Seeing Tangua return, he hurriedly called out to her, telling her that he had found the heavenly rule brush. Not long after, Ao Yen returned and said, "The heavenly emperor is dead." Tangua didn't ask much, and neither did the Peacock Emperor. As long as the heavenly emperor was dead, it didn't matter how he had died. At this time, Tangua received the heavenly rule brush that the elder had mentioned. She flipped open the blank heavenly rule book, but didn't write for a long time. Ao Yen asked, puzzled, "Why aren't you writing?" Pinnacle. Chapter 3698. Write what? Tangua was conflicted. The immortal world was different from the mortal world. Before the Sky Emperor ruled the immortal world, were there heavenly rules? The onlookers fell into deep thought. Before long, King Yanluo and Judge arrived. Seeing Tangua's hesitant look, they understood the situation and said, there were heavenly rules in the beginning. It was not decided by the immortal gods, but by the heavenly Tao. And the position of Celestial Emperor is only the enforcer of the heavenly rules. If there are any imperfections, the enforcers of the heavenly rules will gather together to discuss. I don't know what method the Sky Emperor used to change all the heavenly rules himself. This was something that King Yanluo did not understand. The heavenly Tao was above everything. How did the Sky Emperor do it? The heavenly rules were like the book of life and death in the underworld. They were created by the heavenly Tao and had their own destiny. Unless it was necessary, there was no need to control them. He had never thought of controlling them. Can you write it yourself? Tangua placed the brush in the blank space of the heavenly rules. To her surprise, the brush really started writing on its own. When the onlookers saw this, they laughed instead. They were used to freedom. Every race had their own territory. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would not violate the heavenly rules. If they did something out of line and violated the heavenly rules, they would definitely be punished. But they did not need to be like the Sky Emperor's rule, where they were completely bound by rules and regulations, not giving them any freedom to live. Besides, the Sky Emperor's rule was completely different. He would not allow them to grow stronger and threaten the other party's position. The brush kept moving, writing for 3 days and 3 nights. The heavenly rules were densely packed at the top. The first rule was, the 3 realms shall not interfere. This meant that the immortal world governed the immortal world, the mortal world governed the mortal world, and the underworld governed the underworld. They were not allowed to interfere privately. In the past, this rule had been removed by the Sky Emperor. That was why he could get people to interfere in the mortal world's affairs without being punished. When the heavenly rules were finished, the onlookers were vexed. Who should be the enforcer of the heavenly rules? Ao Yen saw that everyone was looking at him and quickly said, I don't do this. You all know that I prefer the Dragon Palace. I also like all kinds of shiny treasures. Perhaps one day, I will bully all of you and steal your treasures for the sake of treasures. Therefore, the heavenly rules might not be too fair. I'm not doing it either. I don't want to stay in the immortal world. Ao Yen has already invited me to stay in the Dragon Palace. Tanghua saw that they were looking at her, mainly because she couldn't stay in this world for too long. She had already achieved her goal of overthrowing the celestial Thearcha's rule and returning fairness to the human world. In the future, the immortals and gods of the immortal world would not be able to interfere with the mortal world. Don't look at me. I really don't have time for this. The Peacock Emperor quickly shook his head. Yama said, "You guys go ahead and discuss. I'm just here to take a look. When everything is settled, we three emperors will gather again. It's been a long time since we've had this kind of gathering. We aquatic creatures have always lived in the water, and we are a little afraid of heights, so this might not work." These races all had their own territories. Now that they had obtained enough freedom, they were not willing to do such tedious things. Now that the once-in-a-century tribulation was gone, they just wanted to cultivate seriously and prepare for the next tribulation. As for the immortals and gods of the immortal world, none of them considered leaving them to the other. Apex. Chapter 3699. Since all of you are trying to shirk the responsibility and feel that the current immortal world is not qualified to be called the Heavenly Emperor and be in charge of the heavenly rules, why don't we choose from the mortal world? At this moment, King Yanluo spoke and even glanced at Tanghua. It was as if he was saying that he had already seen through her. Tanghua did not feel uncomfortable. If she had not expected this, she might not have been able to find a suitable one in such a short time. She had to satisfy everyone and be a fair person. Why don't we let the heavenly rule find its owner? King Yanluo said. The keeper of the Book of Life and Death in the underworld always looks for his own owner. As he said this, he looked at the judge. Little judge, the Book of Life and Death went to the mortal world to choose his own owner. Everyone agreed. Following which, Tanghua released the heavenly rule and said to it, "Then I'll have to trouble you to find your own owner to take care of the immortal world." Heavenly rules could be written by themselves. It should not be difficult to find someone to take care of the immortal world. After Tanghua finished speaking, the heavenly rule and heavenly rule pen turned into a ray of golden light and rushed towards the mortal world. Hence, they were all waiting in the spirit of heaven jeweled hall. After all, a year in the mortal world was a day in heaven. If they waited for a few more days, they would definitely be able to find the owner of the heavenly rule. When immortals fought, it would more or less affect the mortal world. For example, from time to time, it would rain and some things would fall. Luckily, Tanghua had already expected this. She ordered people to protect the mortal world and it did not cause much trouble. Currently, Tang Yao was settling some matters in a remote county. After settling most of the matters, he prepared to return to the capital city to report to the emperor amidst the gratitude of the citizens. Just as he was about to enter the carriage, a ray of golden light shot down from the sky and entered Tang Yao's forehead. The people beside him did not have time to shout for him to be careful. They could only watch as Tang Yao's body emitted golden light. Following which, his official robe changed. It turned into a black robe with mysterious runes embroidered on it with golden silk. On the robe, one could even find an image of the sun and moon. In short, this robe looked to be luxurious and noble. No one dared to look directly at it. Tang Yao's official hat also changed. It turned into a crown with 12 lines. At this moment, a book of heavenly rule and a heavenly rule pen appeared in Tang Yao's hands. Looking at all this, he instantly understood something. "Sir." The scene in front of them stunned Tang Yao's subordinates and the people who came to send him off. Seeing that nothing had happened to Tang Yao and that he had become so divine, they immediately knelt down and prayed that a deity had descended to the mortal world. "Bring me a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone." As soon as Tang Yao finished speaking, someone brought it over. At this moment, Tang Yao figured out his identity. Therefore, he decided to leave a letter for the human emperor. After handing over the letter to one of them, he led his trusted followers and ascended to the heavens. Tang Yao's appearance in the immortal world was within Tang Guo's expectations. As long as the heavenly Tao was not blind, it would definitely choose him. As soon as Tang Yao came up, he saw Tang Guo and the others waiting for him. He smiled and greeted her. "I won't let you down. Big brother, do it well." Thus, the celestial emperor returned to his position. As soon as Tang Yao took office, he quickly dealt with the trivial matters of the immortal world and arranged some important tasks and positions. The world of immortals had finally begun to function again. After receiving Tang Yao's letter, the human emperor knew that Tang Yao had gone to kill the sky emperor. He stared at the letter for a long time. Finally, he muttered, "Tang Qing is clearly a worthy subject of mine. How could he have been abducted to kill the sky emperor? I'm so angry." Peak. Chapter 3700. Ever since that time, Crown Prince Fu Qing had not woken up. Later, Tang Guo brought Ao Yen back to the palace. This time, she really came as a representative of the immortal realm to invite the human emperor to discuss some matters. For this reason, Tang Guo explained the ins and outs of the matter to the human emperor. No wonder. The human emperor shook his head after hearing Tang Guo's words. "After the crown prince was born, he was not close to me. At that time, he was still an ordinary prince and I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Later on, as I got closer to him, he became more and more intelligent and I even conferred him the title of crown prince. Later on, I felt that I couldn't do anything, so I planned to give some power to the crown prince. I was very satisfied with him. But after killing those demons, I suddenly felt that I had chosen the wrong person. The crown prince seemed to be a little mediocre. It turned out that the other party was a part of the original celestial emperor's soul to steal the human emperor's fortune. If not for Tang Guo's appearance, he might have died from the exhaustion of his fortune and lost the position of human emperor. He also learned about Tang Shui from Tang Guo. Now that the original celestial emperor was dead and the immortal realm had changed, the immortals and gods would no longer interfere in the affairs of the mortal realm. Therefore, the previous natural disasters would not happen again. If anyone in the immortal realm dared to harm the common people for no reason, they would be punished by the heavens. I didn't think that I would really kill several immortals and gods. You are the human emperor. So what if you killed a few immortals and gods who caused trouble in the mortal realm? It's only natural. The human emperor was still not used to his identity. The title of human emperor sounded much grander than the title of emperor. Therefore, he still had to achieve his goal and become an eternal emperor. Only then would he be worthy of the title of human emperor. After the human emperor agreed to meet with King Yama and celestial emperor for a gathering, Tang Guo left. Crown Prince Fu Qing had lost the celestial emperor's soul and would never wake up again. The human emperor had no intention of killing him. He only asked someone to settle him down in the palace and take care of him. After all, he was the crown prince. If he was killed for no reason, it would arouse suspicion. As for Tang Shui, she had already escaped with Goddess Snow. They were still unaware of the changes in the immortal realm. Goddess Shui could not lift the restriction set by Tang Guo. She could only be an ordinary person. Now that the world of immortals had changed, Tang Shui, a former fairy, couldn't return to the world of immortals. Seeing that there was no way for her to recover, Goddess Snow could only impart a cultivation technique to Tang Shui, or for her to cultivate. Many years later, Tang Shui secretly returned to the palace. When she found out that Fu Qing was still unconscious, she planned to take him away. After all, this was the person she loved. Who would have thought that the human emperor would discover all of this? Ren Huang brought his men over to stop them. In order to escape, Tang Shui severely injured the people around Ren Huang. She carried Fu Qing and was about to escape. Seeing that the human emperor was the only one left, Goddess Shui forgot what Tang Shui had told her. She only cared about saving people and did not care about anything else. She pulled out her dagger and dashed towards Ren Huang. Tang Shui shouted, "No!" She knew that the snow goddess hated the human sovereign and had even warned her repeatedly before coming here. Ren Huang did not dodge at all. He did not have any mana, but he had some martial arts. At the same time, he was wearing the magic weapon that Tang Gua had given him. He was not afraid of Goddess Shui at all. Goddess Shui's eyes gradually became crazed. She did not care about this and stabbed the dagger towards Ren Huang's heart. However, the dagger did not even scratch Ren Huang's robe. Instead, Goddess Shui's entire body was rebounded by a force. At this moment, a clap of thunder sounded in the sky. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck Goddess Shui's body. Just one strike was enough to severely injure her. The peak. Chapter 3701. Mother, let's go. Those who hurt the human emperor will receive a heavenly tribulation as a warning. A cold voice sounded in the snow goddess's ears. The voice shook her until she bled from all orifices. She had lost all ability to fight back. Tang Shui hurried back and grabbed the snow goddess. At the same time, she took Fu Qing and disappeared in a few flashes. The human emperor didn't chase after them. He knew their identities. If they wanted to die, so be it. Taking Fu Qing, this hot potato, away was exactly what he wanted. Now, he could peacefully plan how to become an eternal emperor and not embarrass the human realm. As the emperor of the three realms, he didn't have much strength, but if he wanted to make some contributions, he couldn't lose to the king of hell and the celestial emperor, right? Thinking of Tang Yao, the human emperor didn't feel good. His virtuous subject had slipped away just like that. That heavenly Tao was really unreasonable. The virtuous subject he had painstakingly nurtured was taken away just like that. The three emperors had already held several meetings and got along very well. Although they didn't interfere with the affairs of other realms, they could still help if there was a discussion. This wasn't counted in the heavenly rules. In other words, if the human realm was in trouble and the human emperor asked for help from the other two, they could intervene. After Tang Yao took office, he flipped through all the heavenly rules and added some inadequacies. Meanwhile, Tang Shui escaped with the snow goddess and returned to their residence. After healing the snow goddess, she checked on Fu Qing's condition. After checking that Fu Qing didn't have a soul, Tang Shui couldn't accept it. How could this be? I heard that Fu Qing fought with the Grand Tutor. His soul might have been destroyed by the Grand Tutor, the snow goddess said. Shui the human emperor has returned. Even if he's an ordinary person, we can't do anything to him. Otherwise, we'll be punished by the heavens. Now, the snow goddess understood that the immortal realm might have changed. Mother, what should we do? No matter who killed Fu Qing, I'll take revenge. If not for my dermic power being sealed, I would have helped you recover your memories long ago. Shui focus on cultivation from now on. My guess is that the immortal realm has changed. The Grand Tutor is no longer in the palace. We have to go to the immortal realm to take revenge. Tang Shui nodded vigorously and began to cultivate. Tang Shui was naturally talented, and with Goddess Shui's guidance, she cultivated very quickly. Many years later, Tang Shui's strength was comparable to that of an earth immortal. Ascending to the immortal realm would not be a problem. At the same time, she regained her memories. After recovering her memories, she brought Snow Goddess to the celestial realm. Snow Goddess looked at the different celestial realm and felt that her guess was right. The master of the celestial realm had changed even more. When they arrived at the gate of the immortal realm, they saw a woman in white standing at the entrance as if she had been waiting for them. Looking at her back, both of them recognized that she was Tang Gua. "Did you kill Ah Qing?" Tang Shui asked. Tang Gua turned around and took off her veil, revealing Tang Shui's familiar face. "Although I didn't kill him personally, I did kill him indirectly." "Ah Qing had no grudge against you. Why did you kill him?" Tang Shui looked at Tang Gua's face. "You're Tang Gua. Are you taking revenge? You really do hate me for running away, that's why you're angry at Ah Qing." "I've said it before. I don't hate the person who ran away to fight back." "Then why did you kill Ah Qing?" "Because he was my enemy." "You should have recovered your memories, right?" "Yes. Yes." Chapter 3702. I've regained my memories. Ah Qing and I have agreed to meet for 10 lifetimes. As long as we pass the test of 10 lifetimes, we can truly be together. Then have you ever thought that every time you meet, thousands of innocent people will lose their lives? In your heart, do you think that their lives are not as important as your love? In order to be together, you implicate them and make them suffer and lose their lives. Tang Shui was speechless. She didn't think so much at that time. She just wanted to be with Ah Qing forever. She was stumped by Tang Gua's question. Sacrificing thousands of lives just to fulfill the love between the two of you. Not only that, your mother even set you up to save the people of every lifetime to gain merit. You guys are really good at scheming. The natural disasters are caused by the immortals and gods in the immortal world under the orders of the Celestial Emperor. You only need to save them to gain merit. Don't you think this is like a whore trying to set up a monument to her chastity? Tang Shui still didn't know how to defend herself. She only said, "This is my fault. I didn't think so much in the past. I didn't know I would implicate so many people." "No, you just don't care about the lives of ordinary people. Otherwise, you and Fu Qing were the first to meet. After being caught by the Celestial Emperor, why didn't you reject the punishment directly? Instead, you went through 10 lifetimes of suffering with Fu Qing. You just don't care about their lives. You don't think about it, which means you don't care. Because you're an immortal, and those ordinary people are just ants in your eyes. Have you seen most humans consider the lives of insects on the ground? No." Tang Shui didn't have any words to defend herself. Tang Gua's words hit the nail on the head. Yes, she used to be an immortal. All she wanted was to be with Fu Qing forever. How could she have considered that countless people would suffer because of their love in every lifetime? That's my fault. What about Ah Qing? I don't know how he angered you that you have to kill him. Because he schemed against me. Of course I have to get rid of him. Tang Gua casually tossed an image stone to Tang Shui. Take a look yourself. See who your Ah Qing is. Tang Shui took the image stone and watched it. She was stunned. Fu Qing was actually the Heavenly Emperor. Goddess Shui could not accept this fact either. If Fu Qing was the Celestial Arch, then Goddess Shue's face turned pale. She and her daughter had been tricked. It was the celestial emperor who wanted to steal the destiny of the Renhuang. That was why he had plotted against Shue and made her assist him. It was no wonder that the heavenly emperor did not react at all when she did those little tricks, and did not give any warning at all. Goddess Shue, who knew the truth, was so angry that she vomited blood. I've captured him. Ao Yan's voice sounded from afar. In the blink of an eye, the two of them saw a bone dragon flying over. Upon closer inspection, there was actually a person on the bone dragon's claw. When Goddess Shue saw that person, her face turned even paler. Snow Goddess, do you know him? Taoist Green Rainbow. Tang Guo slapped the top of Taoist Qing Hong's head, waking him up. She looked up at the Snow Goddess and said, shouldn't we settle the matter of you asking Taoist Qing Hong to plot against me? You wanted to create a malicious spirit to pave the way for your daughter. In the future, when your daughter purifies this malicious spirit, she will be able to obtain the supreme power of merit. You really are a good mother. Mother, what does she mean? Chapter 3703. Tang Guo tossed Taoist Qing Hong to Tang Shue. What do you mean? You can ask Taoist Qing Hong. Tang Guo's gaze landed on Taoist Qing Hong. Taoist Qing Hong, you've been hoping for an immortal to bring you to the immortal world, right? Unfortunately, you'll be disappointed. The immortal you originally sought refuge with is Snow Goddess. She's no longer a member of the immortal world, so she can't bring you to the immortal world. Old friends meet, you can chat slowly. Oh right, this is the immortal world. You'd better not stay any longer in case the heavenly soldiers and generals think that you're here to cause trouble. Guo, are you done with your business? Ao Yan knew very well that Tang Guo didn't kill Snow Goddess or Taoist Qing Hong. Instead, she said so much. She definitely didn't have good intentions. Most likely, she wanted to provoke a conflict between the two and make them fight each other. Guo was really smart. Killing a stinky thing like Taoist Qing Hong would really dirty her hands. He just grabbed Taoist Qing Hong and felt that his claws were a little dirty. He had to wash them in the sea later. I'm done. Tang Guo looked up at Tang Shue. At this moment, Tang Shue didn't talk about revenge. Snow Goddess was so angry that she fainted. She didn't have the time to find trouble with Tang Guo. Even if she wanted to, she didn't have the ability to do so. You said last time that after you were done with your business, you would come back to the Dragon Palace with me. How long has it been? It's time to go back to the Dragon Palace. Ao Yan said, with the help of the Water Clan, the Dragon Palace has been rebuilt. During this time, I went to find many treasures. Big Brother even returned the treasures of the Dragon Clan to me. Now, the Dragon Palace is full of treasures. I told Big Brother that they're all yours. As he said this, Ao Yan spat out a key and placed it in Tang Guo's hand. I've given you the key. System, this time, you're really shameless. You can show it to the extreme. Okay, I'll go back to the Dragon Palace with you. Ao Yan was happy and hurriedly lay down. Guo, come up quickly. After Tang Guo sat down, he held and carried Tang Guo back to the human world. When they returned to the sea, they hurriedly activated the barrier as if there was a ghost chasing after them. Father, Mother, have you seen Guo? After sorting out the various books of the immortal world with great difficulty, Tang Yao found a few interesting things and prepared to give them to Tang Guo. However, after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find her. Tang Shushan and his wife were drinking tea. When they heard Tang Yao's words, they shook their heads. I didn't see her. Guo went to the immortal world gate early this morning. I think Tang Shui came looking for her. You know Guo's strength. Not to mention one Tang Shui even 10 or 100 Tang Shui are no match for her. Then why isn't Guo back yet? After asking this, Tang Yao's face suddenly changed. Father, mother, did that pile of bones come to the immortal world? I suspect that pile of bones kidnapped Guo. Tang Yao was a little angry. I gave him so many treasures, but he still didn't forget to kidnap my sister. Yao, don't be petty. After all is said and done, Ao Yen treats Guo very well. The entire dragon palace was built for her. If you want to see Guo you can go anytime. It's not a problem. Guo has already stayed in the immortal world for a long time. Ao Yen must be worried. I know. I just can't bear to part with her. I want to keep her by my side and take care of her. Tang Shushan shook his head. I think it's more appropriate for your sister to take care of you. You're always busy. Ao Yen is better. He's always by Guo's side. Tang Yao's heart ached, but he didn't care about this matter. He promised Guo that he would be a good celestial emperor. Chapter 3704. After Tang Shui found out the truth from Daoist Qing Hong, she realized that she had no right to seek revenge on Tang Guo. She had wanted to ask her to help remove Goddess Snow's restriction, but now she couldn't even ask. Even if she went, Goddess Snow wouldn't be willing. She would only be humiliated. Goddess Snow thought that Daoist Qing Hong was incompetent and wanted Tang Shui to kill him. Daoist Qing Hong hated Goddess Snow. His dream of becoming an immortal was shattered because of her. Now, he had offended the Celestial Emperor's sister. He had no chance of becoming an immortal in this lifetime. He would be lucky if he wasn't sent to hell. Goddess Snow used all kinds of methods to make Tang Shui agree. Daoist Qing Hong sensed it first and quickly fled. His hatred for Goddess Snow grew. He didn't think things would end just like that. Many years later, Daoist Qing Hong found an opportunity to kill Goddess Snow when Tang Shui wasn't paying attention. Tang Shui was furious and started to chase after Daoist Qing Hong. Daoist Qing Hong had many escape methods. Tang Shui chased after him for many years but couldn't do anything to him. But she never gave up. Tang Shui chased after Daoist Qing Hong in this lifetime. Daoist Qing Hong also escaped in this lifetime. In this world, everyone who knew Tang Guo thought that if nothing unexpected happened, she would live forever. That was until Tang Guo told everyone that she might be leaving this world forever. She still didn't want to tell her family Tang some truths. Guo are you kidding? Tang Yao didn't believe it. Tang Shushan and his wife didn't believe it either. They went through hardships together and welcomed the light. Although many years had passed, they never thought of being apart. When Tang Guo said that she was going to disappear from this world, they thought it was a joke. Maybe the heavenly Tao allowed me to peek into the heavenly secrets and obtain a sliver of life to fulfill this wish. Now that I've completed everything, it's time for me to leave. Tang Yao couldn't accept it. Guo you haven't stayed in the immortal world for many years. How can you leave just like that? Big brother, father, mother, don't be sad. I'm going to disappear from this world. I might appear in another one. My wish is that you can live well. This is the will of the heavens. We've changed a lot. Tang Guo said it so seriously that they had no choice but to believe it. Tian Dao, he really doesn't want to take the blame. If she wants to leave, it really has nothing to do with him. Unfortunately, no matter what he said, no one would believe him. Tanguo said goodbye to the people she knew. They heard that she might not appear again in the future, but no one believed it. It wasn't until one day, when she really didn't exist between the heavens and earth, and only a faint trace of her aura remained, that everyone understood that what she said was true. Ao Yen, this is the will of the heavens. Don't be too sad. The Peacock Emperor comforted him. Perhaps it's just as she said, she will appear in another world. Ao Yen nodded. Guo told me that as long as I look for her, she will definitely think of me. I need to make a trip to the underworld. The Peacock Emperor looked at Ao Yan's flying figure and thought of something. Ao Yan, you are the only dragon left in this world. If you don't understand, you will become extinct. Uncle Kong, I'm just a pile of bones. I'm no longer a dragon. The dragon race had gone extinct many years ago. My obsession has been completed. I didn't let down the members of the dragon race. I avenged them and righted the dragon race. Now that Guo has disappeared, I have no reason to continue existing in this world. As Ao Yen spoke, he spat out a storage ring. Chapter 3705. Uncle Kong, this is the Dragon Clan. Other than me, I'll have to trouble you to take care of the Dragon Balls of all the members. Perhaps many years later, the Dragon Clan will appear again. Alright, I'll take care of it for you. I didn't expect you to preserve the Dragon Balls and not go extinct. Where's your Dragon Ball? The Peacock Emperor asked curiously. Ao Yen replied, in order to preserve my life, I crushed the Dragon Ball and fused it into my bones. Otherwise, how do you think I survived until now with only a body of bones? Even if the ancestors of the Dragon Clan were strong, it was difficult to do so. The Peacock Emperor didn't know what to say. Ao Yen was indeed a genius of the Dragon Clan. Not only was he a genius, but he also had great perseverance. How many dragons could reach Ao Yan's limit? Now he finally understood why he chose Ao Yen to live. Ao Yen came to the underworld. King Yama seemed to have expected it and was waiting there with the judge. Seeing Ao Yen come, King Yama said directly, Ao Yen, don't look through the Book of Life and Death. She's not under the Book of Life and Death. She really disappeared from this world. There are no records of her here. I heard news of her. I've already flipped through the Book of Life and Death several times, but I couldn't find her name. The judge said with a serious face and a helpless tone. It could be said that not many people wanted Tanguo to disappear. The stability of the three realms was all thanks to her plan. Understood. Ao Yen left and returned to the magnificent dragon palace that was specially built for Tanguo. He distributed the treasures in the dragon palace to the water clan that helped take care of the dragon palace and let them leave. Then he sealed the dragon palace and curled it up in the place where it was once tied up. The flames in its eyes gradually extinguished. The originally golden dragon palace seemed to have lost all its light. Thus, there was no longer Ao Yen here, only a bone dragon without any signs of life. This bone dragon went through the vicissitudes of time and gradually turned into a bone dragon fossil. Many years later, the Dragon Clan reappeared and opened the seal of the Dragon Palace to see a magnificent scene. In the center of the Dragon Palace was a bone dragon fossil. In the middle of the bone dragon was a beautiful woman with her eyes closed. This woman was also a fossil. This is the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Queen of the Dragon Clan. Without them, the Dragon Clan might never be able to make a comeback. Greetings, Dragon Emperor and Dragon Queen. At this moment, only Ao Yen and Tanguo were addressed as the Dragon Emperor and Dragon Queen. This was an honor that belonged solely to them, and no one could replace it. Regardless of whether it was in their previous life or the future, the leader of the Dragon clan could only be called the Dragon King. Margaret, I don't know if the school bell will come to my magic world in the next world. I, Margaret, hereby swear that as long as the school bell comes to my magic world in the next world, I will thank the God of creation every day. Harold, maybe the campus bell came to our magical world. Come to think of it, my and Alan's magical world seems to be richer than yours, right? Alan, although I don't like Harold, he finally said something reasonable. Margaret, maybe the campus bell is here. Margaret, Harold, Alan, do you know the consequences of being cursed by a dark magician? Harold, of course I know that, but our gods of creation are all different. Margaret, don't waste your time. Margaret wanted to say something, but suddenly they felt the chat interface shake. For a short while, they couldn't continue to send messages. Everyone in the group felt that this situation had never happened before. For a moment, they fell into a panic. The peak. Chapter 3706. We really can't do anything here. Xiaogua, you said that all the lyrics were written by yourself, but you didn't have enough evidence. Whether it was your draft or the electronic version of the time record, they were all later than the other party. When Tanguo regained consciousness, she heard this sentence. She looked carefully and saw that the person talking to her was a middle-aged man. He looked ordinary, but he looked kind and didn't look like a villain. Actually, I really want to believe you and help you fight for time to prove your innocence, but the truth is that the other party did come up with the lyrics earlier than you did. If you said that you hit a hole in your brain, it can't be that every word is the same, right? Yu Hank shook his head. The impact of this matter is very big now and it has already caused a lot of trouble for Zhuojing. Zhuojing's manager and I have spoken. Zhuojing doesn't know about this matter. At this time, we have to cut ties with you. After all, Zhuojing is a singer with a bright future. Her future can't be ruined because of your plagiarism scandal. Xiaogua, I've already fought for what I should have. I've always admired your talent. Zhuojing also got to where she is today because she sang the songs you wrote. Speaking of which, for Zhuojing to be where she is today, it really can't be without your help. Yu Hing still felt that it was a pity that this matter couldn't be suppressed. At first, he thought that it was just a simple high school student, but later he realized that it wasn't like that. That girl wasn't simple. Tanguo couldn't make a comeback this time. I've read that song over and over again. It's indeed the same style as yours, Yu Hing added. There were some things that he was afraid of saying and hurting the person in front of him. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. I've already helped you mediate. The other party agreed not to sue you. There was something that Yu Hing didn't say. He felt that Tanguo plagiarized the high school student's lyrics because she felt that the other party's style was the same as hers. The other party was also a young high school student and she just happened to lack inspiration. But he didn't want to say these words. There was no need to say it so harshly. She might have gone astray for a while. But this kind of plagiarism, he couldn't protect her here. Got it. Thank you. With these words, Tanguo basically understood what was going on. She must have been caught in the plagiarism scandal and was discovered. Her intuition told her that things might not be that simple. Alright, then you can take the things back. Tanguo responded and left the office. She followed the system's instructions and went to the bathroom. She didn't know anything now. She planned to go to the bathroom to receive the memories and see what had happened. Walking into the bathroom, Tanguo put down the toilet lid, took out some tissues and spread them out. She sat on top of them and closed her eyes. Because she wanted to recover her memories as soon as possible, she didn't check the group for the time being. The system went to take a look and found that it was temporarily unable to enter the group, so it did not disturb Tanguy. Tanguay's role this time was as a lyricist and composer. She specialized in writing songs for singers and actors. Apart from this identity, the host was also a rich second generation. The reason why he entered this line of work was mostly because he liked it. She likes to write lyrics, compose music, and let some singers with good voices sing her songs. However, she didn't want to use her identity as a rich second-generation heiress to enter this industry. Because she hid her identity, she joined a company and became their contracted lyricist and composer. The company would help to sell the lyrics and music he wrote. Vertex. Chapter 3707. She was very talented in this area. It could be said that when she first entered the industry, the songs she wrote were very popular. Later on, she gradually became the singer Zhuo Jing's personal composer. She almost only wrote songs for him. The original owner also thought that Zhuo Jing's voice was very good. Only when he sang her songs would she be able to perform to the best of her ability. Therefore, she rarely wrote songs for other singers. Originally, she was a rich second generation who chased after her dreams. Because of the matter of plagiarizing a high school student's lyrics, her reputation was ruined. No one dared to ask her to write songs anymore. After all, no one wanted to be involved in the plagiarism controversy. That would ruin their popularity. Didn't singers like them rely on their fans to make a living? In today's internet era, once there was a black mark that was considered by the entire internet, and the competition was so big, it was almost impossible to make a comeback. The people on the internet were forgetful, but they also had a good memory. As for some black marks, they would always find them over and over again. What the original owner didn't understand was that all the lyrics and songs were clearly written by her own, racking her brains and flipping through countless books. How did it become plagiarism? But the time evidence that the other party brought out really made her go crazy. After being fired by the company, she still didn't give up creating lyrics and songs. Every time she thought that she had written a good song with good lyrics and no one dared to sing it, she would sing it herself and post it on the internet. In the end, not long after, a large number of netizens came to scold her, saying that she was a plagiarist and shameless. When she figured out why she was still being scolded, she was completely stunned. She was sure that she wrote all these, but the other party always posted them much earlier than her. After this happened one after another, the original owner secretly continued to write lyrics and songs. She silently sang in the recording studio. But she didn't have the courage to post them on the internet. Later on, when she saw that the lyricist and composer of the song that she had written was actually someone else, she broke down. And looking at the time, it was still much earlier than her. The scolding of the netizens, the plagiarism controversy, and her own songs being released by someone else made the original owner doubt her life. She became crazy. So many years later, when she saw the person who had signed all of her songs, she rushed up like a lunatic and asked him why he had taken her songs. She was completely irrational. Everyone was saying that she was the end of her talent in Jiangnan. She didn't work hard and exhausted her talent. When she saw that others were better than her, she became jealous and attacked others. Even the people around her looked at her with disdain. Her parents didn't have any prejudice against her. They actually wanted to believe in their daughter, but the other party's evidence showed that, according to the time, it was indeed the other party and not their daughter. In order to let the original owner calm down, the family finally decided to send her abroad to recuperate, away from the troubles. When the original owner was overseas, she had been paying attention to everything in the country and found that Kong En had a lot of fame. Famous lyricist and composer, famous military commander, xianxia artist, famous singer, famous manga artist, famous screenwriter, famous fashion designer, famous actor, famous entrepreneur. In China, Kong En was known as the all-around genius girl. Since high school, it was as if she had been enlightened and walked on the path of invincibility. Vertex. Chapter 3708. The host had always felt that there was something wrong. Later, she sent people back to China to investigate and found that Kong En had been caught in a storm of plagiarism. Kong En's fans said, "Oh my God, someone is plagiarizing our little fairy again. Sisters, brothers, let's go kill him. Plagiarizing dogs will die a horrible death." The host found that many people had the same experience as her. They were all labeled as plagiarizing dogs. Another strange thing was that Kong En never sued the plagiarist even after being plagiarized so many times. Basically, after every plagiarism, Kong En would post on Weibo, "It's not easy to create. Please cherish your feathers." In the end, the entire online platform would post the same sentence when they heard that Kong En was plagiarized again. "My heart aches for Kong En." The host found out that many of the so-called plagiarizing dogs didn't have good endings. Because of this incident, their entire lives were affected. Some couldn't accept it and went crazy. They were sent to mental hospitals. Some couldn't take it and committed suicide because of online attacks. There were also some people who were supposed to be geniuses. Because of this incident, they became mediocre people and couldn't find the inspiration they once had. People who were supposed to shine in their lives were all plunged into darkness. The host spent her entire life looking for evidence. Unfortunately, she couldn't find anything that could topple Kong En. In the end, she passed away unwillingly. Even after her death, the plagiarism dogs were nailed to the pillar of shame by countless people. And Kong En really lived a glorious life. She became a peerless person in this world and was recorded in the annals of history. Many experts said that in the past 1,000 years or the next 1,000 years, there might not be anyone more outstanding than Kong En, who was more involved in a wide range of fields, and who strived for perfection. The reason why Kong En could be so crazy was because she was reborn. She had a phone that could search for information online. She was reborn back to her high school days. This era was the era of the development of the internet. It was the era where the whole world was blooming with talents. In her phone, she could search for famous people's compositions, lyrics, excellent scripts, comics, and so on. Moreover, this phone had already been integrated into Kong En's brain. No one could find any clues and naturally, no one could find any fault with Kong En. With this, she walked to the peak of her life. However, she didn't know how many people's lives had taken a tragic turn because of her plagiarism, unable to turn over a new leaf for the rest of their lives. Perhaps he knew, but in the face of fame, wealth, and desire, Kong En could no longer control himself. After stealing someone else's belongings the first time, there would be a second time, a third time, and so on forever. After looking through the memories, Tang Guo opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with anger. Kong En's vile actions were truly shocking. There was no one more despicable than Kong En, who stole the fruits of someone else's labor. "Dear host, have you calmed down?" The system sized up Tang Guo. "I have a situation here." "What happened?" "It seems like I can't enter the group. I don't know what's going on. I tried a few times before, but I couldn't get in." The system was still a little panicked. The group of friends was the host's spiritual support. If they could never enter again, not only would it be a huge blow to the host, but it would also be a huge blow to the companions inside. As expected, Tangua became nervous when she heard that. Vertex. Chapter 3709. Tangua checked the status of the group. She could feel the existence of the group, but there was no way to enter the chat interface at the moment. Because there was no way to find out the situation at the moment, she could only ask the system to keep an eye on it and inform her when there was a situation. Tongzi, inform me immediately if there is any movement in the group. Tangua couldn't help but think of Margaret. If she couldn't enter the group, Margaret would probably be the most panicked. It was really difficult for this little sister in the magical world. Also, help me check the internet. How many works has Kongan stolen? Mark them all. Also, find out the names and addresses of those who are currently involved in the plagiarism controversy. Also, find out all the people who are involved in the controversy mentioned in my memory. Okay, great host. Wow, this time, the great host must be a lot more awesome. Also, help me count how much property I have in this world. Okay. Property, it was said that she was a rich second generation, so she must have a lot of property. If it wasn't enough, he would help the host earn a lot. Anyway, he was quite good at trading stocks. Earning money to support the great host was his dream. Unfortunately, the great host had always been very capable. He was especially like a burden in the past. Tangua walked out of the bathroom and went to pack her things. She left under the strange gazes of many people. She was so arrogant before, so it turns out that she's a plagiarist. Yeah, she's really shameless. Not only is she a plagiarist, but she also shamelessly plagiarized the works of a high school student. If it wasn't for that high school student smart, she might have been blamed by her. Zhuojing is really unlucky. It wasn't easy for her to get to where she is today, but she was implicated because of this plagiarist. Fortunately, the song fans are more rational, and it is said that the original author is a high school girl who is also a fan of Zhuojing, so she said that she won't pursue this matter. But I hope that plagiarist won't copy her works in the future, so that Tangua can cherish her reputation. I also heard that the high school student not only knows how to write songs, but also can write novels. The current serialization seems to be a xianxia novel, and it's very popular on the internet. Many people can't believe it when they know that it was written by a high school girl. Kids these days are really amazing. I feel like I've been living in a dog's stomach for more than 20 years. I heard that she's also a manga artist, and her manga is both healing and melancholy. Previously, I finished a particularly dark manga called Small Alley. Now, I'm serializing a healing-type shoujo manga called Spring Day. Heavens, I feel like I'm also a girl with a sweet love, waiting to be doted on by a senior. I've been waiting for her to update every day, but unfortunately, she seems to be very busy and her updates are slow. She's really amazing. I don't know what she doesn't know. I also heard that she occasionally sings her own songs. I think it's the song that got plagiarized. If it weren't for the fact that the other party had posted it on the internet earlier, that plagiarist would have been able to get away with it. I don't even know how to seek redress for this injustice. Tangua heard these comments and walked out of the company. Kong En, right? Just because he was bound to a magical phone, he casually stole other people's fruits of labor and made the original author live in darkness for the rest of her life. She would not let Kong En get what he wanted. For convenience, the original owner bought a 3-bedroom apartment not far from the company. Vertex. Chapter 3710. Because she didn't want to live alone, she rented out one of the rooms. The other room was occupied by a friend she met later on. When she opened the door, two pairs of eyes immediately looked at her. One of the eyes was filled with curiosity and curiosity. This gaze belonged to her close friend, Ji Manji. Xiaogua, you're back. Ji Manji stood up and walked to Tanggua. She asked uncertainly, is what the internet said true? Did you really plagiarize that high school student song? Xiaogua, why would you do such a thing? Tanggua glanced at Ji Manji and said word by word, I didn't plagiarize her. But she released it earlier than you, and she sang it herself. Did you not have any inspiration, so you couldn't help but plagiarize her when you saw someone with a similar style as you? Tanggua glanced at Ji Manji. She didn't answer the previous question. Instead, she said, I'm going to sell the house. I'll give you 3 days to move out. She had no interest in keeping a green tea bitch like Ji Manji here. The original owner didn't care about the rent and let Ji Manji eat and live here for free. Ji Manji was curious. She even turned on the recording on her phone. She wanted Gu Nianji to admit it herself. Tomorrow, she could take the recording out of the newspaper and put it on the internet. She might get a handsome bonus. What a traitor. Sell the house. Xiaogua, why are you selling the house all of a sudden? If you sell the house, where will I live? Ji Manji couldn't help but stomp her feet. She forgot to ask Tanggua about plagiarizing the high school student song. This house was good. Every room was very big, and the security of the community was good. The main thing was that she didn't have to spend a cent to live here. She could also eat for free. She couldn't bear to move out. Yu Meng, I'm going to sell the house. Tanggua walked in front of Dream and repeated, I'll refund the rent you paid in advance and the deposit to you later. Since I'm the one who broke the contract, I'll pay you 1 month's rent. Dream blinked. But I like living here. Rent is not a problem. Let me live here and I'll pay you double. If it's not enough, I'll pay you 3 to 5 times. How much do you think you should pay? You can name your price. But I have to sell it. The company has already persuaded me to resign. I won't be staying here anymore. How much are you selling it for? I'll buy it. Yu Meng was still speaking in a particularly flat tone. She had a delicate appearance and a petite figure, but the words she spoke were like those of a big shot with a particularly powerful background. Hearing Dream's tone, Tanggua did not doubt that the other party was not short of money. In the original owner's memory, there was almost no sense of existence. Maybe you sat in the living room and watched TV for a while before you realized that there was another person sitting on the other side of the sofa. The original owner didn't have any interest in prying into other people's privacy. As long as the tenants didn't mess around in her house and bring in random people, she wouldn't ask anything. You really want to buy it? Tanggua asked again. This house was meticulously decorated, but for her, she really didn't need it. Originally, the original owner also sold this house, but she didn't sell it so early. Yu Meng answered softly and nodded. How much? When can you sell it? Can you sell it now? The peak that you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.